All right, Hearth and Homies, it's time for Tales of the Texas Rangers. This show aired on NBC Radio from 1950 to 1952. Audiences tuned in each week to hear film star Joel McCrea as Texas Ranger Jace Pearson, who used both the latest scientific techniques and his horse Charky to track down the bad guys. Now, this show featured real cases from the Texas Rangers. Now, the idea for the show was originally pitched by Stacy Keach Sr. as an idea for a film. But by the time Keach finally got the cooperation of the Texas Rangers, the idea had changed to become a radio show. Now, it would later launch a television series, but its initial inception was on the radio. The show was set as an anthology series and is obviously heavily influenced by shows like Dragnet. While the real-life cases that the stories were based on were from various time periods and from various places all over the state, the show featured only one single ranger, Jace Pearson, and the show would have a decidedly modern feel to it, interweaving the latest crime-fighting procedures, tools, and technologies with some good old-fashioned Texas Ranger know-how. Writer Joel Murkoff and Stacy Keach both traveled to Texas to do research for the show. There they met Captain M.T. Lone Wolf Gonzalez, who was described as the last of the old quick-draw artists. They observed Rangers working on actual cases and tried to get a sense of what really went on in the day-to-day life of a Texas Ranger. All this research and hard work paid off because, in my opinion, Tales of the Texas Ranger is one of the best produced shows of this time period. The production quality is amazing, from the sound, the acting, the writing. It's just a really good, solid show. So I hope you agree, and I hope you'll sit back and enjoy tonight's compilation, Tales of the Texas Rangers, Volume 4. And as always, thanks for tuning in.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Joel McCrea in Tales of the Texas Rangers. Tonight, transcribed from Hollywood, another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrea as Ranger Jace Pearson. Texas, more than 260,000 square miles, and 50 men who make up the most famous and oldest law enforcement body in North America. Now, from the files of the Texas Rangers come these stories based on fact. Only names, dates, and places are fictitious for obvious reasons. The events themselves are a matter of record. Case for tonight, Breakdown.
It is shortly after midnight, the beginning of Good Friday in the year 1937. Jim Wiley, constable of Romer, Texas, is driving through the lonely outskirts of his territory when his headlights pick out a car parked on the road shoulder. He brakes to a stop.
Having some trouble?
This heat conked out on me. I've been trying to get it started for half an hour.
Well, maybe I can get it going for you. I know a little something about cars. Okay about trying?
You bet. Go ahead.
Yeah, looks like it ain't about to start, friend. You must be out of gas.
The gauge says you're half full.
The gauge must be busted then. Choking like I did, I should have flooded the carburetor. If gas was feeding through, we'd get the smell of it. Better check the tank. And get a stick or something to shove in here for measuring, will you?
You bet. This branch ought to do.
Yeah, it's good enough. Give it here.
She empty?
Dry as a WCTU meeting.
Yeah, that'd leave me kind of stuck.
Well, I got a siphon hose in my trunk. We can drain enough out of my tank to get you back to Roma.
Is there an all-night station there?
No, afraid not. No hotel either. But I can put you up for the night if you don't mind bunking in the jail.
What do you mean, jail?
I'm the constable.
Oh, I see.
Well, don't worry, the jail's clean. Come on, let's go get that hose. Well, it's in here someplace, if I can find it. You got a match?
You bet.
Ought to be here someplace. I guess I let a lot of junk pile up.
I can't hold this match much longer.
Light another one.
That's the last one to book.
Oh.
Well, you got that hose, haven't you?
Well, no point getting snappy about it, stranger. How come you didn't know the gas gauge in your car was busted?
It must have just happened, I guess.
Seems to me there's a car just like yours on my stolen car list. I hope you got proof of ownership on you.
I got it all right. In my pocket, pointed right square at your belly.
Use your head, young fella. Stolen car's a bad charge, but it ain't nearly as bad as using a gun on a peace officer. Now, you better hand that gun over and come with me.
Why, you hick, you small town rube cop. You stinking rube cop. Go ahead, reach for it so I can kick a face in. Go ahead.
Don't be a loco. You can't get away with this.
I've heard that before from other dumb cops. You never should have told me you're cops, you know. You never should. Something coming on your face. Come on your face. Get in that brush. Now you look, if they stop, you're going to get it right through the face.
You'll pay off for this. Help! Help! Help!
Cross country bus. Go on, Pop. Yell. Yell all you want. Try not to yell at motor. Go ahead. That's too bad, Pop. Nah, you and me gonna make a trade. Bullet from this gun in exchange for your car. What's the matter, Pop? Don't you like it?
You'll get caught. They'll get you.
The cop ain't born can take me. Come on, Pop, you're gonna die. Why don't you crawl a little? Why don't you beg a little? Maybe I'll change my mind. I said...
Reckon you could kill me, but you ain't scaring me.
I'll make it easy for you, Pop. But you gotta beg me a little. You don't, I'll give it to you through the kidney. And that ain't nice, Pop. Takes a couple of hours to die that way. And it hurts, Pop. I know. I watched a cop die that way once before.
Doesn't know what he's doing.
That's it, Pop. Pray louder. Let me hear you.
You're the one I'm praying for. You must be crazy.
Praying for me. You rube cop. Let's see who you pray for in the next couple of hours. It hurts, don't it, Pop? And it's gonna get worse. You don't pass out till right near the end. Enjoy yourself, copper. Have a good time.
Constable Wiley's body was discovered shortly after sunrise when highway patrolmen spotted the stolen vehicle abandoned by the killer. The sheriff was summoned, and he called for the help of the Texas Rangers. By noon of Good Friday, Ranger Captain Stinson was at the scene, accompanied by Ranger Jace Pearson.
Wiley didn't die easy, Jace. Look at that.
Yeah. Tried to crawl out to the road on a blood trail.
Must have been in agony every inch of the way.
You have any family?
An invalid wife, 2 daughters, and 3 grandchildren. The man who did this might just as well have shot them, too. They'll feel the same pain Wiley did, only longer.
With an alert out for Wiley's car, we might get a break. Killer may have been spotted in it somewhere along the line.
I doubt it. He probably got where he wanted to go and ditched it before sunup. Medical examiner figured Wiley's been dead since about 3 a.m. Must have been shot a couple of hours before that.
Gives the killer a good start, all right, Captain.
Yeah. Let's get back to the road. We've got one thing going for us, though. The man we're after may have left some prints on the car he abandoned when he took Wiley's.
Lab men flew in before we got here. They ought to be coming through with a report soon.
Well, Steve Clark is in town waiting for it. He'll bring it out. I want you and Steve to stay on this case until it's cracked.
It's one I'd enjoy cracking. Only lead we've got is that the abandoned car was headed west.
Well, that's something, at least. You and Steve can start off in that direction.
Hey, here's Steve now.
Oh, yeah.
Howdy, Steve.
Howdy, Jay, Captain.
You get the lab report?
Yeah, Captain. It'll rattle your teeth. Here. Killer's been identified by fingerprints lifted from the car he ditched. Wiley was killed by Rex Lang.
Rex Lang?
Rex Lang?
Yeah, no doubt about it. The prints were as clear as a bell. There's a copy of Lang's record attached to the report.
I don't have to see that. I know it by heart.
I wonder how long he's been in Texas.
Well, he might have been here for a year or more. Last report on him was when he killed a policeman in Great Falls, Montana. Before that, he pulled jobs in Nebraska, Wyoming, and Iowa.
He's blazed quite a trail.
Yes, and I want that trail to end in Texas. It's the first time he's paid us a visit. I want it to be the last.
He's not easy to catch. According to that report, he's been jailed only once, Idaho State Reformatory, when he was 16. That's about 8 years ago.
Yeah, and in that 8 years, he's killed 6 people, 4 of them peace officers. The first one was the guard at the reformatory. Lang butchered him when he escaped. Look at this record. Look at it. Sent to the reformatory for beating his young brother half to death with a stove poker.
Is that Lang's picture clipped on the report?
Yeah, a mug shot taken at the reformatory.
Well, that'll help us.
I don't know, Steve. A big-boned 16-year-old kid. And we're looking for a 24-year-old man. He could have filled out plenty by now. Be hard to recognize.
Well, there ought to be some description since then.
Ought to be, but there aren't. All the witnesses he's left are dead ones. Is this the complete report?
Yeah, that's it, Captain. Oh, except this. Probably doesn't mean anything. The sheriff picked up this empty matchbook that was just lying in back of where Wiley's car was parked here on the shoulder. Lab checked it for prints, but they couldn't pull anything off of it.
Well, might have been thrown from any passing car.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let me see it. Advertising on the cover. Grand Bowling Alley in Pintado.
Pintado's about 70 miles west, Jace. And that's the way the car was headed. He couldn't pick up matches before he got there.
Not unless he'd been in Pintado before and was headed back there again when he tripped over Wiley.
Well, that's possible.
Our trail leads west anyhow. Won't do any harm to check around Pintado when we get there.
You're towing a double horse trailer, Jace, so you and Steve might as well ride together.
Suits me.
I'll load my horse and put him in with charcoal.
There's something about Rex Lang it might pay to remember. He was a ladies' man back where he came from, Pocatello, Idaho.
All right, boy. Back up. Even when he was 14?
Yeah, even then. It was a high school girl who smuggled in the knife he used to kill the reformatory guard. And there have been indications that he had a woman lookout with him on burglaries where his prints have been found.
I'll get my trailer open for you, Steve.
Thanks, Jace.
Company for you, Charky. No. You stay in, boy.
Now you climb in, boy. Come on, attaboy. Okay, Jace.
I guess we're ready to roll. You'll hear from us, Captain.
Jace, Steve.
Yeah? What's the matter, Captain?
You both know Lang's record. A killer with a crazy hate for all peace officers. So understand that what I'm going to say now is not in order. If you corner him, you'll have a mad dog on your hands. But I'd like to have him taken alive.
That may not be easy, Captain.
I know, but Rex Lang has become an idol to young punks and reform school toughs all over the country. Now, if we can put him on trial, convict him in a court of law, and have him executed by the state, it'll show those kids that society is strong enough to stamp him out like a flea. There's nothing glamorous about dying in an electric chair. But if you have to finish him in a fight, he'll still be an idol. They'll say Rex Lang was so tough we couldn't take him, we had to kill him.
I understand, Captain.
So do I.
Now remember, it's not in order. I want both of you back alive, too. That's all.
Come on, Steve. Let's go. We headed west, looking for a dangerous kid grown into a dangerous man, with a face we might recognize too late. By midnight, we'd checked the highway as far as Pintado. In the morning, we started to comb the town, still drawing a blank.
That guy at the bowling alley wasn't much help, Jace. Didn't seem to recognize that old picture of Rex Lang. Yeah, Lang may have changed a lot in 8 years, but if he made the alleys a hangout, the owner should have... well, you know, Jace thought the face was a little familiar.
Maybe yes, maybe no. Lang was blond and smooth-skinned as a kid. Hair might have darkened plenty since then, face and frame filled out. And he shaves now. A beard line changes a face.
Yeah, he might have just passed through here and picked up those matches, so maybe they were just thrown out of a passing car.
I know. Well, we can't waste too much time on a lead that may be blind. Yeah, how about some breakfast? There's a Mexican place across the street, Lobo's.
That's for me. I'm so hungry I'll even eat enchiladas for breakfast. Come on, let's cross. Easter Sunday tomorrow, Jace. Wish I could be home with the wife and kids. I even forgot to order flowers.
Oh, wire the captain. He'll have some sent to the house for you.
Yeah, didn't even think of that.
Buenos dias, senores.
Buenos dias.
Howdy. Let's take the booth, Jace. I'm tired eating on counters.
What can I get for you, senores? Here is the menu. I have everything.
Fruit juice, couple of scrambled eggs easy with bacon, coffee and toast.
Si, senor.
Let's see.
Buenos dias, senorita. I will be with you in a moment.
You bet.
Here I am starving. I don't even know what I want. Say, why don't you wait on the lady while I'm thinking it over?
Of course, senor. Take your time.
I thought you were hungry enough to eat enchiladas for breakfast.
Yeah, the man double-crossed me. He gave me a choice.
I just want a container of coffee to go, Lobo.
Si, senorita. You Want it black?
No, creamy sugar.
And I guess I'll just double your order, Jace. Now, what's the move when we leave here?
I haven't figured it yet.
You want me to put it in a sack?
You bet. How much?
10 cents, senorita.
You know, Jace, maybe we should go back.
Wait a minute,
Here
Steve.
you are.
Huh?
50 cents change. Gracias, senorita.
You bet.
Sit tight, Steve. Oh, ma'am. Just a minute.
You speaking to me, Ranger?
Yes, ma'am. I happened to look out of the booth and saw you. Don't I know you from someplace?
I don't think so.
You sure look familiar. You live here in Pintado?
You bet.
I must have met you the last time I was through here about 2 years ago.
Now, your mistake, Ranger. I've only been here 6 weeks.
Oh, well, where'd you come from before that?
Fort Worth?
That's your hometown?
You bet.
That's one on me. You sure did look familiar. Excuse me, please.
You bet.
You had the wrong senorita, no?
Maybe. Grab your hat, Steve.
Why? What was that all about?
Something hit me when she was talking. Notice how she kept saying, you bet?
Yeah, what about it?
That reformatory report about Lang. The part about his habits. You bet was his favorite expression.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Jace. Lang may have changed, but I doubt if he's turned into a girl.
No. But she picked up that expression someplace, Steve, from somebody who uses it regularly. And it could be Lang.
Well, it's as good a lead as that matchbook, Jace. It's worth following.
I think so, too. Come on. Let's see where she's taken that coffee.
You are listening to Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrea as Ranger Jace Pearson. We continue now with tonight's case, Breakdown, an authentic story from the files of the Texas Rangers.
We followed the girl, hoping she was taking the coffee to Rex Lang. The hope exploded less than 2 blocks from Lobo's Cafe when she turned into the doorway of a jewelry store, not far from where my car was parked.
Doesn't look like the sort of place we'd find Lang in, Jace.
And she went into the back of the store. Look through that corner of the window.
Yeah. There's the container of coffee on that bench right beside the watch repairman. Yeah, she must have brought it in for him. Guess he's the boss.
Looks that way. And he can't be Lang. He must be 60 or more.
Jace, get back a little.
What is it?
She came out of the back. She's behind the counter now.
And she's working there then. Let's not take any chances on being spotted. Drift back this way a little.
Yeah, that's good enough. She'd have to come out to see us now.
Got to keep a tag on her. If she's Lang's girl, she'll lead us to him.
Well, even if she is his girl, no telling how often he sees her. He's hot and must be hiding out someplace. We could burn up a week or two and then find out we're sending out dogs at the wrong tree.
We won't waste any time. Not if we can get some information about her. I'm going to get to a phone. You stay right here on this block, though. Walk the corner with me.
Yeah. Jace, if she was Lang's girl, why should she be working?
If she was working in the laundry, that's a question I couldn't answer. But I can think of a good reason why she might be working in a jewelry store.
Casing it for Lang to knock it over?
It's been done before. I'm going to have headquarters check back on some jobs Lang's pulled before. See what you can find out along the street here. She's a mighty pretty girl, so it's a safe bet she's been noticed by other storekeepers along here. Maybe one of them knows her name and where she lives.
Jace, we don't want to tip our hand by asking too many questions.
Don't make them sound like official questions. Make them sound like you're just another man who's seen a pretty girl.
Okay. But you ever mention this to my wife, and you and me are going to tangle.
Get going. I'll make my call and meet you at the car later. I called my headquarters and gave Captain Stinson a description of the girl we were tagging and a list of information I wanted. It was less than 2 hours later when he called me back.
It looks like you may have hit something with that girl, Jace. I made a few phone calls and got answers that fit.
What are they?
Fingerprint records from out of state show that Lang's burglaries in the past included a jewelry store, a check cashing agency, and a private home where the owner was in the habit of keeping plenty of cash in the safe.
Girl fit into those cases?
Yes. A girl answering the description you gave worked at all 3 places. Only thing that varies in description is the color of her hair. In each case, she quit her job a few months before the actual burglary.
That's the modus operandi I've been looking for.
Well, if it was the same girl in each case, she always changed her name.
That's as easy as dyeing her hair. It all fits.
If you're right, Jace, you're getting mighty close to Lang.
That's where we want to be. Thanks, Captain. You'll hear from me.
Jace, maybe I'd better send you a couple of more men.
That'd only give Lang a couple of more targets. Bye, Captain. The girl was shaping up like the extra joker in a poker game. By the time I got back to Steve Clark, he had a rundown on her. The name she was using in Pintado was JoJo Deering. That night, the stores were open late for the last-minute Easter shoppers, but finally the lights went out. We followed the girl to her home and staked out to wait. 5 minutes later, she came out again.
Hey, Jace, look. She's changed her clothes.
Yeah, wearing jeans and a jacket now.
Yeah, but why?
I don't know.
She's moving for her car.
I'll let her stay about a block ahead. Don't want to tag her too close with this horse trailer behind us.
Right. Yeah, she's pulling out now.
So are we. Steve, I got a feeling we're moving in for the finish.
Why?
The way she's dressed. Not the way she'd dress for a date in town, but it is the way she'd dress to go to Lang if he was holed up in some off-trail spot.
Works during the week, goes off to meet him on Saturday nights. Yeah, Jace, it adds.
We'll know soon enough. She's turning for the highway out of town.
Looks like a long trip, Jace. Hey, where is she?
Took a turnoff up ahead. You reach in the back and get a Tommy gun.
Well, the captain said he wanted Lang alive, remember?
I know. But if we have to stop that car later, she picks Lang up. I want to make sure we can put it out of commission.
Okay. Hey, we're crying out loud,
I'm
Jace.
sorry, Steve. Sharp turnoff there. Grab a look at the map. Where does this road lead?
I don't need the map. This is State 61. Nothing down here for more than 100 miles except for a few run-down Mexican settlements.
I'm going to cut off my headlights.
This road gets kind of rough, Jace.
Can't help it. I can follow her taillight without her knowing we're behind her.
Yeah, you're right. Odd anything comes through here, she'd scare in a minute. We'd sure roll a lot easier if we weren't dragging that horse trailer.
I got a feeling we may need it. No need for her changing her clothes like she did if she's going to stay in the car. Any place in here where she could pick up a horse?
Yeah, about 10 more miles. Ranch owned by an old Mexican woman. All she's got is a couple of horses.
Can you think of any place near there where Lang might be hiding out?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 miles back in the hills. Used to be a mine there. A couple of them, in fact. They're abandoned, Jace.
Isn't there a road to the mines?
No, nothing but a rough burro trail. It's tough country to get into.
If Lang's there, it's going to be tough country for him to get out of. Just before we reached the old Mexican ranch, we let the girl's car pull out of sight. We parked for 10 minutes, then drove to the ranch. Her car was there, all right, almost hidden in a clump of brush behind the barn. And there was a fresh horse trail leading into the hills. We unloaded our horses and followed it.
Only about another half mile to the mines, Jace. She's heading right for them, all right.
Something about this that bothers me, Steve.
What's that? She stuck to the burro trail all the way.
That's just what I don't like. The only approach, and Lang wouldn't be at the end of a clear trail unless he had some way of guarding it.
You mean he might have an ambush staked out along here?
A man who hasn't been caught or even described in 8 years doesn't leave his guard down.
I don't know. He can't stay awake 24 hours a day.
Reckon not. Hey, wait a minute. Hold up. Whoa, Charky.
Whoa, boy, whoa. See something, Jace?
Yeah. This brush at the side of the path's been trampled. Not long ago, either. Just bobbing back into its natural position. Horse was waiting in there, and now we got 2 sets of tracks on the path.
Well, that means he expected the girl. Waited here to meet her.
Looks that way. Better get down and lead your horse.
Right. Come on, boy.
Come on, Charky.
Why did he come down to meet her? He didn't have to show her the way. They're still sticking to the path.
I don't know. In one way, I wish the moon was a little fuller. And in another way, I'm glad it isn't. Hey, hold it.
Huh? Well, they left the trail here. Brush is disturbed again. The tracks turn in there.
Come on.
Yeah, this is funny, Jace. We're following their movements through the brush, and we're just making a little half circle right back to the burro trail. Now, look here. We're right back on the path. You suppose he made that little half circle just to leave a blank spot in the tracks?
A blank spot of less than 20 yards? Isn't likely.
Must have had some reason.
Let's leave the horses for a second. Let's go back along the path and find out why he cut away from it.
Right.
Move slow and keep your eyes peeled.
Nothing that seems out of line here.
Stop. Look at this branch overhanging the path.
Just a branch? Why, hey, Jace can barely see it. A piece of string running from the end of the branch to that tree on the opposite side of the path.
Don't touch it. Let's see where it leads. Look at that.
Yeah. Sawed-off shotgun strapped to the tree. That string is tight around the trigger.
Gun probably has enough scatter shot and slugs in it to kill an elephant. No wonder he met her to steer her around this.
Chase, look at the way that gun is sighted. Anybody on a horse who moved that branch get a charge right through the middle. Anybody on foot who moved it probably get it right through the head. You were right, Chase. He wasn't planning on taking any chances. The rat. Anybody could be killed by this thing. A rancher, some kid riding through.
You don't think that'd make any difference to Lang, do you?
What a death trap.
A death trap that's going to backfire on him. This is the thing we use to take him, Steve. When this goes off, he'll come running to see what he's got.
He'll have another gun. He'll still fight.
You won't get a chance if we work it right. I'm going to pull the trigger on this thing, then let out a scream. Plant myself out there on the burrow path. You stay here in the brush.
Then what?
Just be patient. Don't move, no matter how long it takes for him to get here. He'll come plenty slow, trying to make sure that whatever he hits alone. And when he finds me lying out there, fire your gun and startle him. But keep your fire high.
Chase, he might pump a slug into you while you're flat on your back.
Not if we time it right. But don't fire until he's close enough for me to jump him. You better get the horses and tie him off down the trail a ways. You'll have time.
Say, Jace, how about a toss to see who stakes out on the path? Why should you take the chance? Why not me?
Because you forgot to wire the captain about that Easter plant for your wife and kids. Get going after the horses and then get back here.
Good luck, Chase.
Good luck to both of us, Steve. I planted myself in the path and waited. I could feel myself breaking into a sweat as cold as the ground. Even if he thought I was dead, a crazy, hate-ridden killer like Lang might waste one more bullet. A half hour passed. An hour. And then we heard him coming. Slowly, like a cat.
Watch where it steps, Wilson. I can't help it, Rex. I'm scared.
You whine like a cop with a gun in his back. Shut up.
Right near here, wasn't it? Can't you see anything yet?
You bet. Right there, I see something. Look at that. Look at the moon on him. It's a ranger.
Rex.
A ranger. Oh, you be careful. Must be the one you told me about, but you were so smart. Said it didn't mean anything. You stupid getting followed here.
Oh, please. Rex, don't hit me again, please.
You bet, honey. If you ever slip again, I'll make you an honorary cop. Now, come on. I'll show you what you get. I'll demonstrate on him. I wish he was alive to feel what I'm going to show you.
Oh, no, Rex. Don't make me look, please.
Now, look at it. Look. Imagine what a bullet could do to that pretty face of yours. I got him, Steve! Let go of that gun, Rex. Drop it, I said.
I'll kill you with my hand.
All right. Here's your chance to try.
Get the gun, go. Get it.
Hey, you want to get up? Try again, Rex? Or is that enough?
No. I come with you.
Shall I cuff you together, Jace?
Yeah. It'd be a shame to split such a lovely couple.
I guess this isn't the kind of bracelet you were after, Jojo, but it'll have to do. All right, Rex, hold out your wrist. Yeah, that does it, Jace.
Yeah. Well, let's get started. It's just midnight. After we get him in, a fast drive ought to get you home by morning and give you a chance to pick up that Easter plant.
Not only that, I'll be on time to go to church with the kids. You going?
Borrow a couple of words from Rex? You bet.
Tried as an accessory in the many crimes committed by Rex Lang, Jojo Deering was convicted and sentenced to a 50-year term in the women's prison at Goree. Lang, tried for the murder of Constable Wiley, slobbered and pleaded for mercy, but the jury gave no heed to his pleas as the prosecution brought his vicious record to light. Found guilty of murder in the first degree, Lang was sent to Huntsville Penitentiary, where on the morning of November 4th, 1938, he died in the electric chair.
Next week, Joel McCrea in another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Joel McCrea is currently seen starring in the Universal International Technicolor production Frenchie. Tonight's cast included Tony Barrett, Bill Johnstone, Byron Kane, Herb Ellis, and Betty Lou Gerson. This story was transcribed and adapted by Joel Murcott, and the program was produced and directed by Stacy Keach. Hal Gibney speaking.
Three chimes mean good times on NBC. There's fun, excitement, and prizes next on NBC as accordion-playing MC Phil Baker gathers contestants around the microphone to see if they know the answer to America's favorite question. What question is that? Why, the $64 question, of course. You're invited every Sunday for Laughs with Phil Baker and the $64 question. Tomorrow, enjoy the telephone hour. Now it's the $64 question on NBC.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Joel McCrea in Tales of the Texas Rangers. Tonight, transcribed from Hollywood, another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrea as Ranger Jace Pearson. Texas, more than 260,000 square miles, and 50 men who make up the most famous and oldest law enforcement body in North America. Now, from the files of the Texas Rangers come these stories based on fact. Only names, dates, and places are fictitious for obvious reasons. The events themselves are a matter of record. Case for tonight, pressure.
It is 11 p.m. a Saturday night in January 1933. Sheriff Russ Morton drives his car to the end of the well-lighted main street of Lingua, Texas, and turns onto a narrow wooden bridge that crosses the railroad yards and leads to the Negro quarter of town on the far side of the tracks. In the car with the sheriff is his deputy, Sam Billings. Both men are uneasy.
Doesn't look like there's much doing across the tracks, Sam.
I don't get it, Sheriff. I was over here less than an hour ago. The cafes was packed so thick you couldn't stir 'em with a stick.
Yeah.
Who sent out to call for us?
Pedro at the Cantina Cafe. I didn't get half of what he said. He sounded scared to death. Just kept yelling to come get old Lucifer out of his place.
Old Lucifer? Can't imagine him stirring up no trouble.
Oh, neither can I. But, Sam, I don't like the look of this. There isn't a light shown in the whole quarter. Not even in shack or shanty.
Might have been a knifing, Sheriff.
Oh, knifing might make one place go dark, but not all of them.
Cantina's off left, off the next street.
Nobody on the streets, not even a dog on the prowl. If old Lucifer is behind this, he sure sent everybody running for cover.
Now, how could an old man like... Sheriff, look. Cantina ain't open either. Guess Pedro got old Lucifer to leave without waiting for our help.
Yeah, then closed up tighter than a drum. Why?
I can't figure it. What are we going to do now?
We're going to find out what's wrong over here. Keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to comb these streets until we find a light or somebody stirring. Better reach over and back and get that shotgun.
Right. Never saw nothing like this before, Sheriff.
Neither have I. There's...
Throw the spotlight on, Sheriff. That doorway over there.
That's old Lucifer. Stand right where you are, Lucifer. Don't move.
Look at him, Sheriff. Something all over his shirt and his pants and his hands.
Yeah, no need to look at him twice. It's blood. What happened to you, Lucifer? What's the matter over here?
It's my doing, Mr. Sheriff. All my doing. Ain't nobody to blame but me.
You got blood all over you. And it doesn't look like it's your own. Who are you fighting with?
Somebody in Pedro's place try to jump you?
No, sir. I ain't had no trouble with nobody here. I had my trouble out to the farm where I work.
Out at the farm?
Yes, sir. I just walked into town a little while ago, trying to get up my nerve to turn myself in. Sheriff, I I killed Mr. Redford. I shot him dead.
What? You kill your boss, Mike Redford?
Yes, sir. I done it, just me. We got to arguing and I shot him dead.
No wonder there ain't a light on over here.
You can tell us the rest of it at the jail, Lucifer. Right now, you better get in my car fast before this news crosses the tracks.
Yes, sir.
We're in for trouble, Sheriff. Mike Redford's been mighty popular around here.
Yeah. Get in back, Lucifer. Get down on the floor and stay there.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to drop you off on Main Street, Sam. Round up the constable and a couple of other deputies. Get them to jail as fast as you can. We may be able to keep this quiet until tomorrow. If we can, it'll give me a chance to get a few Texas Rangers in to give us a hand.
The news of Mike Redford's murder struck the town on the afternoon of the following day. But by that time, Sheriff Morton had help. He was joined at the Lingwood jail by Texas Ranger Jace Pearson.
Here's Lucifer's confession if you want to see it, Jace. He made a full statement when we brought him in last night.
Pretty short statement.
Yeah, short and to the point. Says he had it in for Redford for a long time. Made up his mind to settle it last night. Went up the house, started to fight, and shot him. These are the clothes Lucifer was wearing. Blood all over them.
Have the blood analyzed?
Yeah. Medical examiner did it when the JP ordered an autopsy. It matches Redford's blood type, all right. We ought to have a full autopsy report in an hour or so.
Captain Stinson ought to be here by then.
Good. I got my deputies posted around, but extra hands will be a help in case of trouble.
Town looks peaceful enough.
News hasn't been out long. We couldn't keep it quiet after the medical examiner had the body brought in the funeral home, though.
Where are you keeping Lucifer?
Oh, that's him in the bunk in the cell, back at the end of the block there.
No other prisoners?
I had them all moved up into the tank upstairs.
Good idea. A statement says Lucifer worked on the Redford farm all his life.
Yeah, started there when Mike's grandfather owned the place and just stayed on. Old Lucifer must have gone crazy or something, Jace. He's had a good home out there. Then he turns and bites the hand that feeds him.
That's happened before.
I know, but...
Lucifer never gave you any trouble before this, you said?
No, nothing. Unless you want to count a little row he got into last summer. Didn't amount to much.
What was it?
Old Lucifer hit somebody with a shovel. Some wandering farmhand that worked out at Redford's for a few days. Him and Lucifer were cleaning out a pig pen, it seems, and this migratory started cussing Mike Redford. Lucifer told him to shut up. The guy wouldn't, so Lucifer clipped him with a shovel. That's the way the story come out when they brought Lucifer up before the judge. Judge fined him $25, and Redford paid the fine for him and took the old man home.
Sounds like Redford and old Lucifer were pretty close.
Oh, Redford always treated him square.
What you just told me doesn't fit in with this statement you got from Lucifer last night.
What do you mean?
Last summer, he hit a migratory for cussing Redford.
Yeah.
But look here. On page 2 of this statement, Lucifer says, I had a grudge in for Mr. Redford ever since his pappy died, and he come to be my boss 8 years ago. I didn't like him, and I made up my mind I'd kill him.
It doesn't fit, does it?
If this statement were true, Lucifer wouldn't have been up before a judge for defending Redford last summer.
Howdy, Jace. Took your horse out of the trailer and watered him.
Thanks, Sam.
Sheriff, Lucifer's grandson Chad's out in the hall. Wants to know if he can see the old man.
Just for a minute, please, Mr. Sheriff.
Well, I guess it won't hurt none. Come on.
Thank you.
Got a visitor for you, Lucifer. Grandson, Chad.
No. Please, don't let him in. I don't want to see him. Don't want to see nobody.
Grandpa, we got to get you a lawyer or something.
I don't want nothing. You go home. Don't talk to me. You just have home and stay there. Make him go, Sheriff. Make him go. You know you ought to go.
That old man may be right.
I don't want to see you no how. Don't ever come here again.
But Grandpa, you got to...
Never mind, Chad, never mind. You get out like you said and go home. Come on. Sam, you'd better drive him out of town. Let him cut across the fields and through the hills to his place, but see that he stays off the highway when you leave him.
Okay, Sheriff. Go ahead, Chad.
Yes, sir.
Where does he live, Chad?
Up in the hills, about 4 miles behind Redford's.
I'd like to take a ride out to Redford's place. If there is going to be any trouble here, it won't come before dark. Besides, I'd like to talk to Chad. I'm going to catch Sam and ride with him.
Yeah, I'll see if I can stop him from the window. Sam?
Yes, Sheriff?
Wait a minute. Ranger's going to ride out with you.
Okay.
He's waiting, Jace. There's a deputy guarding the place out there, making sure nothing's touched until we get photographed.
Good. Thanks.
Mr. Ranger, what are you going out there for? I told the sheriff everything, sir. No need for you to be going out there.
Maybe there's no need for you being behind those bars either, Lucifer. I'd like to make sure. noticed a few peculiar marks on Chad's face in the sheriff's office, and in the car I got a chance to see him close up. They looked like scratch marks, and the edge of a dirty bandage showed beneath the frayed cuff of his shirt.
You took a full chance walking into town, Chad. People are mighty hot about Redford getting killed.
My grandpa would never kill him.
One who'd know that best is your grandpa. He says he did kill him. Came in with Redford's blood over him.
Yeah, an awful lot of Redford's blood, judging by the clothes the sheriff is holding. Where were you last night, Chad?
I was home, back in the hills.
Anybody with you who can verify that? I said, was anybody with you?
No, I was alone.
What do you mean alone? Ain't your wife there? Wasn't she with you?
I wasn't at the shack. I was just around it.
Doing what?
Just walking around, that's all.
Is that how your face got scratched up, walking around in the dark? One of your eyes looks kind of puffy, too, like you got hit.
I got that chopping wood. A piece of kindling flew up and hit me.
A piece of kindling hit you on the wrist, too? Pull that sleeve of your shirt up.
I got to cut that, that's all. Just a cut.
How'd you get it?
Come on, Chad. Your place is only a mile up behind Redford's.
Were you on the Redford place at all yesterday?
Sure, but not last night. Only in the afternoon.
What were you doing there?
I just went by to see my grandpa, that's all.
About what?
To get the lender some money.
He give it to you?
No.
Why not, Chad? You've been mooching on the old man for years. He never turns you down for anything.
Why didn't he give you the money?
'Cause Mr. Redford, he saw us talking and he come out the house. He told Grandpa not to give me it. He said I was no counter. I'd be earning my own and not borrowing from my old man. Mr. Redford, he ain't never liked me. Told me to get off the place. I didn't want no trouble, so I got it.
And you just walked around in the hills near your house without going inside where your wife could see you, huh?
I don't like the smell of that story, Chad. Maybe you never left Redford's place.
I did, I tell you. Honest, Mr. Sam, Mr. Ranger. My wife can tell you that. I did go home last night. For a minute. I left the house 'cause me and my wife had a fight.
Nothing new about that.
She got mad when I didn't bring no money back. We went round and round, and she throwed something at me, and I hit her, and she scratched me up and cut my arm with a bread knife. That's when I run out.
You didn't go back to Redford's after that?
No, sir, I swear it. I never did go back.
Here's the best place for you to get out, Chad. Got anything else you want to ask him, Jace?
No. All right, Chad. You can go.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm just wondering if the old man couldn't be covering up for him.
You think he was lying about that fight with his wife?
Could be. Although his women does have a temper. They had it out hot and heavy before.
How does he make a living back in the hills?
Well, he don't. They live in an abandoned shack up there. He couldn't pay rent no place, and he ain't worth his salt. When he first got married, he tried to move his woman and himself into Lucifer's place, but Redford wouldn't have it nohow. If anybody was toting a grudge against Redford, I'd bet on Chad, not old Lucifer.
It's a cinch somebody was toting one, or Redford wouldn't be dead. Old Lucifer's actions hadn't fit into the usual crime pattern, and when we got to the Redford house, the pattern became even more jumbled. Except for the body having been moved, everything was left as the sheriff had found it.
The body was laying right here, Jace. You can see the stain on the rug.
Yeah. Furniture knocked around. Must have been quite a fight. A broken bottle over here.
Yeah, sheriff figured that's what finally knocked Redford out. Then he got shot while he was out cold.
What made the sheriff so sure of that?
Well, the body. Bullet fired right into the head from close up. Burns on the face. And no blood around except that one spot on the floor. And those handprints Lucifer left on the furniture and the wallpaper.
Those handprints are what bother me most.
Why?
If Lucifer shot Redford, why didn't he just back off and get out of here? How'd he get blood all over him? And why'd he smear it all over everything like a kid with a 10-cent tube of red paint?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Does seem like it was kind of deliberate.
You think an old man like Lucifer could have wrecked half this room fighting a younger man like Redford?
Ranger, I guess the sheriff and me didn't think of a lot of things now that you're pointing them out.
It's not your fault. You thought you had a clear case and a confession. That makes it easy to overlook things.
Young fella like Chad might have put up quite a fight with Redford.
What about the gun Redford was killed with?
Well, we haven't got it. Lucifer said he threw it into some bushes on the way into town. Couldn't tell us where. Weapon might have been a 32 or 38. Autopsy will tell us when we get the slug.
All right, let's get back to town.
If the old man is covering up for his grandson, how are we going to break him down if he keeps on
Wait
saying...
a minute, Sam. Look at this. On the cupboard.
What? 2 whiskey glasses.
Yeah. and both of them full. Ring on the wood here shows where the bottle was standing. Looks like Redford poured 2 drinks, one for himself and one for somebody else, but they didn't get to drink them.
Fight probably started before they got a chance to bend elbows. We know the bottle was used to knock Redford out. Hey, that kicks a hole in what we've been thinking.
A big hole.
Who was Redford drinking with?
It's a cinch it wasn't Chad. Redford ordered him off the place.
And the old man's confession must be on the level.
No, it isn't, Sam, because it's not likely Redford would have been having Lucifer in for a drink either. There was somebody else here. Somebody who either killed Redford or saw who did.
You are listening to Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrea as Ranger Jace Pearson. We continue now with tonight's case, Pressure, an authentic story from the files of the Texas Rangers.
Sam and I headed back for town. The streets were crowded but quiet, the way they should be on a Sunday afternoon. But there was a tension we could feel. We made one stop at the funeral parlor for a look at Redford's body. Medical examiner was just finishing.
You can see, like I said, the bullet was fired from close up.
Yeah. What'd you find, Doc?
Well, he'd been struck on the head with blunt object and shot through the brain at close range. I have the bullet here. You want that, of course?
Please.
There you are.
Thanks. .32-20 caliber. I'd give a lot to get my hands on the gun this came out of.
Lucifer said he ditched the gun.
Yeah, Lucifer said a lot of things. And slugs flattened out plenty.
Unusually so. I noticed that.
There's something else to notice, too. On the body, the burned area around the wound.
Well, what about it?
Ought to be some powder grains buried in the flesh, but there aren't. None that I can see.
None that I can see either. How about that, Doc?
No, it is an unusual wound.
When Lucifer told you he threw the gun away, did he mention what kind of a gun, Sam?
No, why?
Because this may give us a chance to trip him up. This bullet didn't come from a small weapon. It came from a .32-20 caliber rifle.
Well, how can you tell that without a ballistic check?
Well, for one thing, the way the slugs flattened out. Rifle has a couple of 100 pounds greater impact than a sidearm.
Yeah, and plowing through a skull would flatten it plenty.
Yeah, but there's another thing about a close-range rifle shot. It leaves a burn, but no powder grains in the skin. A revolver will leave powder grains every time.
That makes sense, Doc?
Yes, it does. With a revolver, the explosion of the powder in the shell is only a couple inches away from a point-blank target. But with a rifle, well, there's the length of the barrel, you know. Here, here's my report if you're headed for the sheriff's office.
We'll drop it off for you. So long.
So long, Doc.
Goodbye.
I'm learning a lot as we go along here, Jace.
There's still something we both got to learn. Who killed Mike Redford? There were a couple of ranger cars outside the jail when we got there. Men from my company were standing casually at points along the street, but they weren't as casual as they looked. Jail was carefully circled, and they commanded all approaches. Captain Stinson was inside with the sheriff.
Jace, the sheriff tells me you're not satisfied with Lucifer's confession.
That's right, Captain. How about bringing Lucifer out here for a minute, Sheriff?
Sure thing. Things are going to start blowing around here after sundown, Jace.
I know it. I felt it all the way through town. All it needs is some hothead to start it off.
Well, if it starts, we'll stop it.
Well, maybe there won't be no trouble.
Town's pretty crowded, Sam. With a lot of cars coming in.
Come out here, Lucifer.
Well, town's always crowded on Sunday. They're not ganging up any place.
Now, that can come later. But there's one sign of trouble you can't ignore. Take a look out that window. There's not a woman in sight all the way down Main Street. The men are coming in alone.
Here he is, Jace.
Thanks, Sheriff. Lucifer, you said you killed Redford and then threw the gun away.
That's the honest truth, Mr. Ranger.
Where'd you throw it?
I don't remember, sir.
Was it a gun like this one in my holster? Well, was it?
Maybe. Guns look all the same to me.
Or was it about the size of this one?
All guns are about that size, sir.
Not all guns, Lucifer. You're not telling me the truth. Because Redford wasn't killed with this kind of a gun. He was killed with a rifle.
You're covering up for Chad.
No, sir. Chad had nothing to do with it. It was me, just me.
Listen to me, Lucifer. You think Chad killed Redford, but I don't. If you want to help him, open up and tell the truth.
Oh, Chad couldn't have done it. He left the place when Mr. Radford run him off, honest. I seen him leave.
Then what happened?
I went to my house, and after it got dark, there was a gunshot. It came from Mr. Redford's house. I left my place, run over to see if anything was wrong, and...
Redford was dead when you found him.
Then how did he get blood all over him, Jace?
He'll tell you, Sheriff. Go on, Lucifer.
I lifted him a little to hold his head in my lap. I begged him to talk to me, to say something to old Lucifer. I knowed him since he was a little boy. Watched him grow.
But when you found him there, you thought Chad had sneaked back to kill him, huh?
I didn't know what to think.
Why should you cover up on no good like Chad?
He is my own flesh, Sheriff. Blood is thicker than water.
How do you know Chad isn't the killer, Jace?
2 full whiskey glasses indicated that Redford was drinking with the man who killed him.
And he wouldn't be drinking with Chad, Sheriff. It ain't the...
Come in.
Howdy, Sheriff.
Yeah.
Sam, Rangers.
Howdy, Flam.
What's on your mind, Flam?
Well, some of the men have been talking around town, Sheriff. They sort of appointed me to come up and see you. Well, you just been to the funeral home to see Mike Redford. What's left of him. Mike was my neighbor and pretty good friend, too.
That what you come to tell me, Flam?
No, not exactly. Looks like you're expecting some trouble, and some of us thought we'd like to volunteer to help you. We could take over the guard trick on jail for tonight so you and the Rangers can get some rest.
You can go back and tell the boys we're not tired, Flam.
And while you're at it, tell them Lucifer didn't kill Redford.
Word's around that Lucifer confessed, Ranger.
It was a mistake, Mr. Flam. What I said wasn't true.
Well, fine. Then you don't have to stay here, Lucifer. Why don't you go home, back to Redford's farm?
He's staying here.
Why, if he got nothing to hold him on?
Protective custody. And that means just what it says, Flam. He'll be protected. You can go now.
All right, Sheriff.
Just a minute, Mr. Flam.
Yeah, Captain?
If you should see any men around who look like they're fixing to start some trouble, do us a favor. And do them a favor, too. Tell them to go home.
Sure, Captain. I'll tell them.
Sam, lock Lucifer up again, will you?
Sure. Come on, Lucifer.
Yes, sir.
Flam looks like he may be the man who'll spark that crowd.
Yeah. Flam and Redford were mighty close.
Sheriff, we've got to move Lucifer out of the county for safekeeping. If Flam gets a mob stirred up at night, anything can happen, and a few people are liable to get killed.
He's safer in here than he'd be if we took him outside.
Not if they fire this building. We'll move him right after sundown.
How? Where?
Seems to me the best place would be some small-town lockup across the county line where nobody'd know him and nobody'd think of looking for him.
That's what I had in mind. Sam?
Yeah, Captain?
Get Jace's horse, Charcoal, out of his trailer. Pick up 2 more horses and take them all to the field south of town. Hobble them and stash the saddles away under cover so you'll know where they are later.
Okay.
After you leave them, on the way back, you can drop the word that we're moving Lucifer out of here tonight.
You mean you want the whole town to know it?
They won't know as much as they'll think they know, Sheriff. After dark, you and I can make a run in my car. They'll figure we're moving Lucifer, and they'll all make a run to block us. Meanwhile, Jace and Sam can slip him out the back and make for the horses in the field. After that, Jace, it's up to you. It's 11 miles cross-country to Hill's Crossing. There's a lockup there. See that nobody stops you from getting him to it.
We waited until dark without turning on a light in the building. And Captain Stinson, the sheriff, took one of the deputies covered with a blanket and made a run for the captain's car, while Sam and I took Lucifer out the back. We ran across the field where the horses had been left and began to saddle them.
Listen. Sounds like the sheriff and your captain have hit trouble, Jace.
Probably somebody tried to block the road and kept scaring them off. Hurry with that last
Yeah,
thing.
ready to go, Jace. After I take this one hobble off.
Good. Come on, Lucifer. I'll give you a boost.
Yes, sir.
Here's charcoal, Jace. Ready to run.
Thanks. Steady, boy. You set, Sam?
As soon as I get mounted. No more shooting.
No. Captain discourages them quick.
Yeah, but by now that crowd may know they ain't got Lucifer in the car.
Too late to do them any good. This is going to be a rough ride for you, Lucifer. Let us know if you want to slow up or stop.
I'll be all right, sir.
Good. Let's ride. Up, Charcoal.
Get up, boy. Come on.
Just hang on the horn, Lucifer.
Yes, sir.
Come on, boy. Up. When we got to Hill's Crossing, the town was dark and sleeping, except for a couple of rangers who'd been sent down to take over guarding Lucifer. Once he was safe under lock and key, Sam and I started the ride back to Lingua.
Hey, you're cutting the wrong way, Jace. We should turn down that valley to Lingua.
I know it. We're not heading back for town yet. I want to make one more stop.
Where? Back to the Redford farm again?
It's not much out of the way. Getting Lucifer safe was only part of the job. We still got to find out who killed Redford.
That means we got to find out who was drinking with him. If there was anybody. Lucifer said Redford didn't have any visitors yesterday.
He said he didn't see any visitor. That doesn't prove anything.
He'd have been sure to see a car if one had driven in. His shack's near the farm road. Even if he'd been inside, he'd have heard it.
Maybe the visitor didn't use the road. Might have come in on foot or mounted from another side of the farmhouse.
I guess that could be all right. Probably put his horse in the barn or the back corral.
That'd keep Lucifer from knowing anybody was in the house.
There's the old wagon road the other side of that grove of trees we're coming to. We'll have easier riding once we get over there.
Hold it, Sam.
Huh?
Ooh, Charky.
Oh, boy. Hey, what's the... Shh.
Listen.
Hounds. And they're on trail.
Look, over there in the hills.
Hey, something's on fire. Jace, that's right up behind Redford's place.
Isn't that where Lucifer's grandson, Chad, lives?
Yeah. What do you suppose going on up there?
Somebody wants blood. They didn't get it from Lucifer, so they're running down his family. Come on. Up, Chark.
Up, boy. That shack is really flaming, Jace. If they trapped him in there, he's had it.
They haven't got him yet. Those dogs are still after something. Keep going. We raked our horses all the way. We'd been about a mile off when the blaze started. When we reached the shack, it was a flaming heap on the ground. We saw a woman staring at it in a daze. She must have been Chad's wife. She wasn't harmed, so we took off after the sound of the dogs.
Listen to that, Jace. They got Chad treated. They wouldn't sound off like that.
Yeah, they're just through this thicket.
All right, just throw a bead on that tree and rake it till he falls.
No, Mr. Flam, I ain't done nothing.
Hold it, Flam. You and whoever's with you.
Oh, boy. Who?
Mr. Ranger, they're trying to kill me.
Nobody's going to kill you, Chad. You men grab your hounds and shut them up. You're all under arrest, and that includes you, Flam.
What for? We were just doing a little night hunting. The dogs treed Chad here by mistake.
The dogs didn't set fire to his shack. An arson's a crime.
Look, Ranger, he killed my neighbor.
Why'd you switch to him? Because you couldn't get your hands on old Lucifer?
They were in it together. Redford ordered Chad off a place yesterday.
Did you tell him that, Chad?
No, sir. I didn't tell nobody but you.
And you didn't get it from Lucifer, Flam, because you never got near him. So how do you know? Who told you Redford chewed him out?
Nobody had to tell me. I was visiting Radford at the house. He saw Chad on a place and went out and ordered him off. But after I left, him or the old man sneaked in and killed Mike.
Throw that rifle over here, Flam.
Why?
Never mind why, just throw it over. And be careful how you throw it.
We're willing to leave here peaceful. Just a hunting weapon.
A .32-20 hunting weapon. Just like the one that killed Mike Redford. For the last time, Flam, throw it over.
Come and get it.
Hands off those guns, the rest of you.
That's better. Now gather in and pick up your pal, Flam. You followed him out here, you can tote him back.
You hit me. I'm hurt bad.
There, you just winged. It's a better breaking you gave Redford when you killed him.
It was self-defense. I killed him in self-defense.
Sure. While he was knocked out after you hit him with that whiskey bottle. Should have finished your drink, Flam. You'll never see another glass of whiskey as expensive as that one.
Jack Flam confessed to the murder of Mike Radford. His statement disclosed that the killing had been the result of an argument over ownership of a strip of land between his farm and Radford's. Flam was sentenced to life imprisonment. 4 other men convicted of armed participation in the attempted lynching of old Lucifer and his grandson Chad were given prescribed terms in the county jail. And now, here again is the star of our show, Joel McCrea.
There are thousands of people living today who have survived only because of the Red Cross. These people will never have to be reminded of its great service to humanity. But this year, the Red Cross drive has fallen short of its needed goal. So give to the Red Cross, won't you? And invest in humanity. Good night, folks.
Next week, Joel McCrea in another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. McCrae is currently seen starring in the Universal International Technicolor production Frenchie. Tonight's cast included Tony Barrett, Will Wright, Herb Vigran, Ernie Whitman, Roy Glenn, Bill Conrad, and Byron Kane. This story was transcribed and adapted by Joel Murcott, and the program was produced and directed by Stacy Keach. This is Hal Gibney speaking.
Three chimes mean good times on NBC. Coming up next on NBC, it's the $64 question. Accordion-playing quizmaster Phil Baker gathers another group of contestants around the microphone to play your favorite quiz game. And there are prizes for the lucky participants and excitement and laughs for you at home. Join Phil Baker now as he asks America's favorite question, the $64 question on NBC.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Joel McCrae in Tales of the Texas Rangers. Tonight, transcribed from Hollywood, another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrae as Ranger Jace Pearson. Texas, more than 260,000 square miles, and 50 men who make up the most famous and oldest law enforcement body in North America. Now, from the files of the Texas Rangers come these stories based on fact. Only names, dates, and places are fictitious for obvious reasons. The events themselves are a matter of record.
Case for tonight, Bad Blood.
It is 7 p.m., September 14th, 1950. In an isolated house trailer in the fields on the outskirts of Cheney, Texas, Joe Prager, an aircraft worker, is packing a suitcase. There is a knock on the trailer door.
Just a second.
Howdy, Joe.
Oh, howdy, Russ.
Ain't you going to ask me in?
Yeah, sure. Come on in.
See you packing already.
That's right. What's on your mind, Russ?
Well, Joe, I figured 2 weeks is long enough for old friends to be mad at each other. I come to ask you to shake hands.
You know, now that you're here, I can't figure just what we've been mad about. Ain't anybody I'd rather shake hands with than you, Russ.
You're my boy. But we ain't never going to talk politics again.
Oh, that's a deal.
I didn't want you to leave feeling sore at me. Why you going, anyhow? Why you pulling out? Your job solid. You're needed here.
Well, I didn't want anybody to know about it yet, but looks like I'm needed someplace else, too.
Huh?
Here, read this.
Well, going back in the Army, huh? I didn't know you stayed on the reserve list.
I'm on it, all right.
You talked to him about this out at the plant. After all, you're married now, you got a kid, you're in essential work. Maybe you could get out of it.
I thought about it, Russ, but, well, I don't want to get out of it. I got kind of a funny feeling about it, a feeling I've had ever since the kid was born. Like, well, maybe if I go again now, maybe I can help so he'll never have to go when he grows up.
Yeah, I can't argue against that. Not with 2 boys of my own, one of them pushing 17. Ella and me are plenty worried about him with this Korea thing.
Oh, don't let it get you down, Russ. Boy'll be all right. Say, I was just about to fix me some grub. How about joining me?
Oh, thanks, but Ella's expecting me home. Say, where's Marge and the baby, anyhow?
Oh, she drove the kid up to her mother's today. I got a week more before I report, but we sort of figured we'd go away someplace together, just the 2 of us, you know, till I have to leave.
Yeah, well, when you pulling out of here?
Tomorrow, when Marge comes back.
Ella'd like to see you and Marge before you go. She's been beefing at me ever since you and me fell out.
Yeah, Marge's been bulldogging me about it,
Well,
too.
can't you come and have supper with us tomorrow before you go? How about that?
That's the deal.
Swell. Ella'll be tickled. Well, guess I better be getting home the old pay envelope. You need any help with anything? I mean, we got a few dollars for...
No, thanks, Russ. We'll get by.
Well, good luck to you, fella. We'll see you tomorrow.
Sure thing, Russ.
Say, if they had to draft somebody, why couldn't they take that brother-in-law of yours?
Orville? That'd be giving aid and comfort to the enemy.
Yeah. I know Orville ain't giving any aid and comfort to his department out the plant. If we wasn't short-handed, he wouldn't last 10 minutes. Well, good night, Joe.
Good night, Russ. Just a second. Did you forget something? Oh, it's you, Orville.
Yeah, it's me.
Russ was just here. I thought it was him coming back.
I know he was here. Been waiting out back long enough, waiting for him to leave.
You could have come in. Russ don't bite.
He doesn't like me.
Reckon that's your fault, Orville.
Oh, sure. Everything's my fault. How come you sticking up for him? Thought you and him wasn't talking.
We are now, and I don't think it's any of your business. What do you want, Orville?
Joe, I need some help. I got my check cashed, and I guess I didn't notice it till I was almost home. I got a hole in my pocket. I lost my pay.
Do I look like a half-wit to you?
Well, I only want...
The last time you came to me with that story, you said your pocket was picked. And the time before that, you said you got stuck with a loan you signed for somebody.
That's right, Joe, honest.
Stop using the word honest, Orville. Doesn't sound right coming from you. If your money's gone, you lost it in the pay-night crap game at Holland.
I haven't been near Hollins in weeks. Oh, Joe, you gotta help me. My wife will buck like a maverick under a branding iron if I don't bring some money home. You and Sis got some side money. I know you have.
I ain't denying that, but this is one time you ain't dipping your hand into it. Yeah, take a look at this paper. Go ahead, read it.
Drafted, huh? Going to play soldier again and leave my sister with a kid to take care of.
She and the kid will be taken care of, Orvie. I'll see to that. You never had to give us anything, and you never will.
Joe, I need money. And I ain't leaving here without it.
There's nothing here for you, Orvie. Better try someplace else.
I said I wasn't leaving without that money.
Well, I reckon you'll be here a long time then, Orvie. You have to excuse me. I'm going to fix my supper.
I ain't going to ask you again, Joe.
Glad to hear.
Just going to keep ignoring me, huh? Like I wasn't even here.
That's right.
Maybe I can make you pay a little attention with this. Frying pan!
Orvie, put that down.
No! I'm going to help you dish out your supper like this! I wasn't... Nah! I told you, Joe! I told you!
The body of Joe Prager was discovered when his wife returned to their trailer home early the following day. Sheriff Vern Lamont immediately called for the help of a Texas Ranger. Ranger Jace Pearson was assigned. He joined the sheriff at the scene of the crime shortly after noon.
I've kept the whole field blocked off, Jace. Nobody's been near the place except Prager's wife and me and the deputies.
Good. Where's the wife?
Sitting over there in her car. Tried to get her to go into town to the hotel, but she won't. She's in kind of a daze.
Shock. That's natural.
You want to talk to her?
It wouldn't help when she's like that. Maybe by the time we've had a look around, she'll break down and cry it out, and then we may be able to get something. Let's have a look inside the trailer.
Right. There's the body. And there's a murder weapon. Wrought iron frying pan.
Won't be able to pull any prints off that. Metal's too coarse.
That's why I just let it lay there.
Medical examiner estimate the time of death?
He figured it was between 6 and 8 o'clock last night.
The suitcase on the bed, half packed. Prager trying to run away from something?
No, I don't think so. Letter on the table here explains it. It was in the Army Reserve. Called back to duty.
I see. Where was he working here?
Out to the aircraft plant, other side of town. Spot welder.
How come his wife didn't report this until this morning?
Well, she was away for the night.
They got a baby? Baby oil and nipple jar on the dresser there.
Yeah, that's why the wife was away. She took the kid to her mother's up in Abilene. Come back this morning.
You check on that?
First thing. Got a list of eating places she stopped at both ways, and she gassed up at a mobile station in Abilene last night after she got there.
It spots her away from here, all right. Let's check around outside.
Right. Will it be okay for the medical examiner to move the body now?
Yeah, I think so. How come they parked their trailer out here instead of using one of the parks near town?
Save money, I guess. Rents are high with the plant working full blast.
Gasoline lamp in the trailer for light, but what'd they do for water?
Well, there's a well out back. Used to be a house here some time ago, but it was moved. They had everything they needed to get by.
I see.
Want to walk out to the road where our cars are? I can send one of the boys into the funeral home to arrange a pickup.
All right. Wait a minute, Sheriff. Watch your feet.
What's the matter?
These car tracks up the road to the trailer.
Prager's own car, I reckon. Same tracks all over the road from coming and going.
Different tire pattern in a couple of the soft spots, though. Look here.
Yeah.
Overlaps most of the older tracks, but Prager's car tracks go over the strange tread once. Right here.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Another car must have driven in here after Miss Prager left yesterday. And that spot is where she drove over the tracks when she came back this morning.
It's the way I measure it. And we can pull a cast off that tread. May help us run down the car. Hey, one of your deputies coming up the road now.
Well, that isn't one of my boys.
Why'd they let him in?
I don't know. Hey, you!
Yeah?
How'd you get in here?
I come to help my sister.
Who is your sister?
Marge, Prager's wife. He was my brother-in-law. That's why the deputies let me through.
All right. Your sister's sitting in the car back there. Reckon she does need somebody with her at that.
Thanks.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, Ranger?
Walk along the edge of the road. Stay out of the tire tracks.
Why?
Because we're asking you to. Isn't that good enough?
Well, I only asked you for a reason, that's all.
What's your name?
Orville James.
You work with your brother-in-law?
Well, yeah, sure. Out at the plant. Not in the same department, though.
How'd you know your brother-in-law had been killed?
I didn't know. Until I saw your deputies down by the road, and they told me.
Isn't the aircraft plant working today?
Yeah, sure it is.
It's on the other side of town. What brought you out here now?
I got a lift out during lunch to see my sister.
That'd just about take your whole lunch hour, and more if you didn't catch a ride back right away.
You make a habit of hitchhiking out here on your lunch hour?
No, of course I don't.
Then why'd you do it today?
What are you asking me all this for? You trying to pin something on me?
Reckon that's going to depend on how you answer. Come on, talk up.
Well, I wanted to ask her about my mother. I knew that she'd been up home, see, and I wanted to find out how my mother was.
I see. Your mother been sick?
Yeah. No, she's been all right, I reckon.
And why the rush to get out here this afternoon? Why not tonight, after work?
Because I wanted to come, that's all. Anything else you want to know?
Yes, when did you see your brother-in-law last?
I don't know, 3, maybe 4 days ago.
Not yesterday?
No.
Not even at work?
It's a big plant, Ranger. Joe and me didn't even work in the same building.
What time did you quit yesterday?
5 o'clock.
Then you weren't working between, say, 6 and 8 o'clock last night?
No.
Then where were you at that time?
And who was with you?
Well, I cashed my check at Holland's and then...
And then what? Did you come out here?
Yeah.
What?
I said yes, I come out here. I'd have told you before if you hadn't started to question me so funny.
Why'd you say you hadn't seen Prager in 3 or 4 days if you saw him last night?
I didn't see him last night.
Listen, you just told us you came out here.
I told you come out here, but I didn't see Joe. I changed my mind about going in because there was a car parked here. Joe had company.
Well, that fits in, Jace. Those car tracks.
Yeah, but it still doesn't tell us why Orville didn't go in.
I'll tell you why, if you let me. I recognized the car. It belongs to Russ Newcomb. And I didn't want to go in while he was there because I didn't want to get mixed up in any argument.
Who's Russ Newcomb? And why should there be an argument?
Russ works out at the plant, too. Him and Joe had been friends, but they fell out a couple of weeks ago. Hadn't been talking.
Then why would Newcomb be visiting here?
Why don't you ask Newcomb that?
It took a long time for you to suggest that, Orville, considering that Prager's dead and you knew that there'd been bad blood between him and the man you say was here last night.
I don't like to throw suspicion on a man for murder, Ranger. But you're mighty quick suspecting me. A man ain't likely to kill his brother-in-law. Newcomb had the reason, not me. Now, you're going to let me go to my sister, ain't you?
Jace?
All right, Orville. Go ahead.
Yeah. Looks like this thing is cracking easy, Jace.
It sure does. You better get out to the aircraft plant.
Yeah. We got enough to pick up Newcomb, all right?
We got more than that. If that tire track on the road matches Newcomb's car, we got enough on Newcomb to send him to Huntsville.
You are listening to Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrea as Ranger Jace Pearson. We continue now with tonight's case, Bad Blood, an authentic story from the files of the Texas Rangers.
We drove out to the aircraft plant. News of Prager's death hadn't reached the place yet. We were directed to Russ Newcomb's section leader, and he pointed Newcomb out to us. He was on a welding job.
Hey! Hey, Hey, you up there! Newcomb!
Yeah. Knock off a minute and come down from that wing, will ya?
Be right there!
What can I do for you?
Go into the office where we can talk.
Sure, I'll be glad to. Sheriff, what's up? You find the woman who owned that purse?
Purse? What purse? What are you talking about?
The purse I turned in your office about 2 months ago. Money in it, don't you remember? Oh, that was on a Sunday. Guess I look different in a work outfit.
Oh, yeah.
What's this about, Sheriff?
I thought he looked familiar. Turned in a woman's purse he found in the streets a couple of months back. No identification in it, and the owners never claimed it.
Oh?
The way you're talking, Sheriff, I reckon it isn't a purse you want to see me about.
No, it isn't.
You know Joe Prager?
Know him? Why, Joe's one of my best friends.
When did you see him last?
Only last night out to his place. Why, what's the matter? Joe in some kind of trouble?
You say he was a good friend. Other people say you weren't on speaking terms for the last couple of weeks.
We weren't until last night. We got in a dumb political argument one day during lunch here. Both got hotter than we should have.
But you patched it up last night.
Yeah, when word got around that Joe was quitting, going away, well, I went out and buried the hatchet.
You sure you mean a hatchet, not a frying pan?
Look, you fellas asking me something, but you ain't telling me nothing.
You talked politics again with Prager last night?
No, we just shook hands, and I asked him to bring his wife over for supper tonight, and then I left, that's all.
Prager still alive when you left?
Well, what do you mean he was still alive? You telling me Joe Prager's dead?
He was beaten to death last night with an iron frying pan.
Beaten to death? Joe?
You see anybody else at the trailer?
No. We were alone, just the two of us.
Newcomb, the law requires me to warn you that anything you say from here on can be used against you.
Used against me for what? You're talking like I'm under arrest.
You are under arrest for the murder of Joe Prager.
We took Newcomb back to Cheney and locked him up. Meanwhile, Prager's body had been brought into the funeral home. I went over to see Mrs. Prager to see if she could give further verification of a quarrel between her husband and the man under arrest.
Yeah. Joe told me that had some kind of an argument, but I didn't think it'd ever be as bad as this. I didn't think Russ would kill him.
Why don't you leave her alone, Ranger? I'd already told you there was bad blood. Now maybe you'll believe me.
Other witnesses aren't going to hurt anything, Orville.
I'm all right, Orville. He's got to find out everything he wants to know.
What else do they need to know? If you ask me, they got enough of a case right now.
If we ask you. But so far, nobody has. And until somebody does, how about keeping quiet?
All right. You're the law. Go ahead and make them miserable. I'm going over to Holland, sis. I'll be there if you want me.
I'm sorry to keep after you like this, Mrs. Prager. Did your husband ever have any trouble with anybody besides Newcomb?
No.
Was he in fear of anybody, worried about anything?
No. Well, he was worried at first when the army letter came, but when we decided it was right for him to go, he didn't worry anymore. Just figured out things so me and the baby could get along. We even had a little money saved. We were going away together for a week, just Joe and me, to the place we went on our honeymoon. We were going to have so much fun. Now I'll have to use that money to bury him.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Why did Russ do a thing like this to Joe? Why?
I don't know, ma'am. I've never been able to figure out why men do a lot of things they do to each other. I went back to the sheriff's office. It looked like the case against Newcomb was just about closed, but it opened again. Opened wide when the sheriff showed me the personal effects that had been removed from Prager's body.
Look at this, Jace.
Bank book, isn't it?
Yep, Prager's. It was in his shirt pocket. Take a look at that last line. Drew out every dime he had yesterday afternoon.
Mrs. Prager told me they had some savings. They were going to use it to go away. Reckon that's why he drew it out.
Yesterday was payday at the plant, too, Jace, so Prager should have had this amount he withdrew, $312 plus his pay.
Wasn't there any money on him?
Less than $1 in change. I had my deputies go out and comb that trailer. Cupboards, dishes. They didn't find a dime.
Newcomb turn any money over to the jailer when you booked him?
About $5, that's all. But he had time to hide that money. All we got to do is find out where he hid it.
If he did hide it.
What do you mean?
That purse Newcomb found a couple of months ago, the one he turned into you. He mentioned that there was some money in it.
That's right. A little over $100. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking about motives. We've been figuring Newcomb killed Prager because he was nursing a grudge. Robbery angle changes that picture.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure does. Fella who finds money and turns it in when he could keep it isn't likely to kill somebody and steal from him. Unless, of course, he was trying to cover up.
He said he'd invited the Pragers to supper tonight, and they were going to come.
That's right.
You check on Orville's movements last night, see if he was telling the truth?
Had my deputy do it. Only place to check was Holland's, and he was there all right after work. Cashed his check there, like you said, then got in a crap game with some of the boys in the washroom.
He couldn't have played very long, or he wouldn't have gotten to Prager's by 7 o'clock when Newcomb was there.
I don't get what you're driving at.
Orville must have lost in that crap game. Game like that between fellows who work together, the winners usually stick to the end.
Yeah, they get sore at a winner who quits until they've had a chance to get even.
Your deputies find any sign of bloody clothing when they check Newcomb's place?
Nope, but they're checking the cleaning shops now.
You know where Newcomb lives?
Sure. You want to go over there?
Just into the neighborhood. I want to talk to Newcomb's butcher. Come on.
Newcomb's butcher? What can he tell you?
What Mrs. Newcomb ordered for tonight's dinner? I saw the butcher, and his answer to my question pulled Newcomb back a step away from the electric chair. I got in my car and started to drive toward the field and Prager's trailer.
You look like you learned something, Jace.
I did. Miss Newcomb ordered stew meat yesterday for tonight's supper. She called up this morning and changed the order to lamb chops. 12 lamb chops.
That mean anything to you?
And changing from stew meat to lamb chops sounds like she was expecting company. When she orders lamb chops for her own family, she usually gets 8.
I see. The other 4 chops could have been for Prager and his wife, then.
I think so. And Prager was dead when she ordered them.
Well, Newcomb could have told her to order them for a cover-up.
Could have, but it's a little too smart. He didn't strike me as being that clever.
Yeah, I'm going to go along with that. I think you're right. But what do you expect to find at the trailer?
I don't know, but I want to look around a lot more than we did before. I shouldn't have waited this long.
Didn't seem to be any reason for it with the case we had against Newcomb.
Well, there's a reason now. We need a new case, and I got a hunch which way it's going to point.
I don't know, Jace. We've fine-combed that trailer, and there's nothing we didn't see before. And the only strange car track you found on the road was Newcomb.
Hey, wait a minute, Sheriff. Somebody was sitting down here by the well. Leaned back against it and had his feet stretched out. You can see where the edges of his heels were resting on the ground.
Yeah.
Circle out around the back here. Let's do a little trail cutting.
You figure the killer took off away from the road?
If he was on foot, it'd be his best bet. If he went to the highway and walked, somebody might have seen him. If he had blood on his clothes, he'd steer clear of town until it was late and everybody was sleeping.
No, all right, Jace. Which way do you want me to go?
Circle out that way. I'll work from this side.
Okay. Hey, Jace.
Yeah, Sheriff?
Orville was on foot.
I know he was. That's why we're looking. We found the trail just as it was getting dark. It led into open country. I got my horse charcoal from the trailer behind my car while the sheriff went to a nearby farm to borrow a mount. It was dark when he caught up to me.
You still on the trail, or are you cutting to pick it up?
I lost it a couple of times further back, but I'm on it now. You know this country back here?
Oh, I've ridden it before. We'll be coming to the Horner River soon, about a half-mile farther.
The river angles toward town, doesn't it?
Sure does. Cuts under that bridge just outside Cheney.
That may be the way the killer followed to get back to town. Let's ride for the riverbank and see if we can pick up tracks there. May save us time.
Good idea. Dig, boy.
Ah, come on, Charky. We found tracks on the bank, all right. Just a few that led to the edge of the water, and that was all. We cut back and forth on both banks for hours before we picked up a sign. He'd come out of the river on rock, and we barely spotted the place where he'd marked the ground again.
That's it, all right, Jace. Same heel impression.
He had us fooled for a while, all right. Now let's go. Come on, Charky.
Yeah, come on, boy.
What's that up there ahead? Looks like a shack of some kind.
I don't know, Jace. Quite a few shacks in here along the river. A lot of deer around. Some folks keep places for fishing and hunting.
His tracks lead right to it.
Yeah. Get on, boy.
Come on, Sharky.
Yeah, he stopped here all right.
Flash your light on that door.
Yeah. Yeah. Lock's been sprung. It's open.
He was here, all right. Left his marks in the dust on the floor. I guess nobody's been using the place for quite a spell.
Yeah. There's something else, too. Footlocker here. Lock on it's busted, too.
Shirts and jeans in there.
I'd like to bet there's one set missing. Orville, or whoever it was, stopped here to change clothes. He must have known the setup.
There's a funny smell in here, Sheriff, like the place been smoked up not long ago. Something burning.
Pot-bellied stove there.
Yeah.
Anything in it?
Plenty. Clothes that didn't quite burn. Smells from kerosene he poured on him, but he came through the river, so his pants were wet. Fire must have smoldered out after he left.
Better pull those things out and see if we can save enough of them for identification.
There's enough, all right. Look at this. Bloodstain didn't even wash off when he came through the water.
We prove who owns these things, and we've got our man.
We'll be able to prove it. Look. Shirt was bundled up with the wet pants, just enough to save most of the collar and this.
Mm-hmm. Laundry mark.
Let's get back to town. It was daybreak when we got back to Cheney. We got what we were after on our third laundry stop. The half-burned shirt belonged to Orville James. We went to his home. His wife was at the funeral parlor with Mrs. Prager, so he was there alone.
What you want from me now?
Sheriff's got a few things rolled up in that poncho. I thought maybe you might be able to identify them.
Who they belong to? Joe or Newcomb?
We want you to tell us. All right, Sheriff, unroll them.
Recognize these?
What's the matter, Orville? You look kind of sick.
I'm just upset about Joe, that's all. I was at the funeral home with my sister almost all night.
Well, you ever seen these things before?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen them.
Whose are they?
I could be wrong, I guess, but they look like Newcomb's.
That's funny.
Well, what's funny about it? Looks like they were burned quite a bit.
Yeah, but they were too wet to burn all the way.
Guess that gives you a real tight case against Newcomb now, doesn't it? It does, doesn't it?
A perfect case, except for the laundry mark on the shirt.
Laundry mark?
That's right, Orville. You're a laundry mark.
But there can't be a laundry mark. There can't be a laundry...
Keep your hands off those things. You heard him, Orville.
Let me go. Let me go. Oh, my arm.
You better hold still. Come on. Let's go.
My wife always hounding me for money. Always screaming about how hard she worked. Always yelling about how she was ruining her hands scrubbing greasy work shirts. But she wasn't. She was sending them out. Laundry bucket. The lazy pig. I'll kill her. I'll kill her.
You're not going to kill anybody, Orville. Your killing days are over. Open the door, will you, Sheriff?
Sure.
All right, Orville. In the car. Let's go.
Orville James broke down at his trial and confessed the robbery slaying of his brother-in-law. He was found guilty in less than 20 minutes and sentenced to Huntsville for the rest of his natural life.
Next week, Joel McCrea in another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Joel McCrea is currently seen starring in the Universal International Technicolor production Frenchie. Tonight's cast included Tony Barrett, Paul Frees, Whitfield Connor, Sam Edwards, Parley Bear, and Barbara Luddy. This story was transcribed and adapted by Joel Murcott, and the program was produced and directed by Stacy Keats. This is Hal Gibney speaking.
3 chimes mean good times on NBC. Tomorrow, the voice of Firestone presents Metropolitan Opera basso Cesare Siepi in a melodic variety of operatic selections. Your Monday evening of music also includes the telephone hour, and tomorrow's guest artist is the renowned coloratura soprano Lily Pons. Among Miss Pons' selections tomorrow is the beautiful aria from Rigoletto, Cara Nome. Phil Baker asks the $64 question next on NBC.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Joel McCrea in Tales of the Texas Rangers. Tonight, transcribed from Hollywood, another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrea as Ranger Jace Pearson. Texas, more than 260,000 square miles, and 50 men who make up the most famous and oldest law enforcement body in North America. Now, from the files of the Texas Rangers come these stories based on fact. Only names, dates, and places are fictitious for obvious reasons. The events themselves are a matter of record.
Case for tonight, conspiracy.
It is 2 p.m., the afternoon of October 17th, 1926. Captain Clint Stinson of Texas Ranger Company B is seated in his office. Across the desk from him sits a woman sobbing bitterly.
They killed him, I tell you. They shot him down in cold blood the way they'd shoot a dog.
Now get a grip on yourself, Mrs. Wendell.
Oh, help me. Please help me. Ed was a good man. Our baby's only 7 months old. Now Ed is dead, and the man who killed him is walking the streets of Crescent as though nothing happened.
Crescenta?
Yes, in Ames County. That's where I came from.
I see. Some pretty funny things have been happening in Ames County. Who was the man who killed your husband?
A man named Ray Thorpe. It happened 4 days ago. But he wasn't even arrested. The grand jury said that according to the evidence, he killed Ed in self-defense.
Any witnesses testify to that?
Yes, 3 of them. But they were lying. They were lying. My Ed never carried a gun in his life.
Are you sure of that? A wife doesn't always know.
I knew. Why can't you help me? What kind of a world am I living in? What kind of a world am I bringing my baby up in when his father could be killed without anybody even lifting a hand?
Now, just take it easy, Mrs. Wendell, please.
Yes, Captain.
Get me a Sheriff Porch at Crescenta in Ames County.
Yes, sir.
What are you calling him for?
I want to help you, Mrs. Wendell, if there's anything that calls for help.
You won't get the truth from Sheriff Porch. You said yourself that funny things are happening in Ames County.
Funny things are liable to happen in any county where there's a big oil strike. Drifters and floaters crowd in. You can't always condemn a sheriff for what happens.
You mean it's just too bad if a man gets murdered?
I didn't say that, ma'am. Yes.
Sheriff Porch, Captain. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, Captain Stinson. How are you?
Fine, Sheriff. I'd like a little information.
Sure thing. What about?
Man named Ed Wendell, shot and killed in Crescenta by a man called Ray Thorpe.
Well, there ain't much I can tell you, Captain. Thorpe killed Wendell in self-defense. Wendell's always been, well, sort of a hothead, troublemaker. Started a fight with Thorpe and pulled a gun on him. Thorpe had to kill him to save his own hide.
I understand there were witnesses.
There sure were, 3 of them. And one of the 3 was my deputy. Open and shut case.
I see. Well, thanks, Sheriff. Just checking.
What brought the case to your mind? You have, some sort of a complaint?
Wendell's wife thinks he was murdered in cold blood.
Well, Captain, you know women. Can't believe anything wrong about the men folks.
That happens. Thanks, Sheriff.
Anytime. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You don't have to say anything. I know what he told you.
Mrs. Wendell, I'm sorry, but there's nothing much I can do.
He left the house smiling, waving to the baby.
And he never came back. They wouldn't even let me see him again after he was killed.
What's that? Mrs. Wendell, are you telling me that you never saw your husband's body after he was dead?
No, they wouldn't let me. They said it was a law because of the way he got killed.
There's no law like that. Are you sure you're telling me the truth?
Why would I lie to you?
You never saw the body.
No, I tell you, they buried him in the county cemetery the day after he was killed.
Do you know if an autopsy was performed?
I don't know.
I see. Mrs. Wendell, if I can get an order to have your husband's body exhumed, will you give your permission?
Yes, but... Oh, they won't let you do it.
They're not going to know it's being done.
Yes, Captain.
Put out a call for Jace Pearson. Tell him to report to me immediately. And bring Steve Clark in, too. Then get me headquarters at Austin.
By late afternoon, Captain Stinson had a magistrate's authorization to exhume the body of Ed Wendell. Later the same night, Texas Rangers Jace Pearson and Steve Clark, accompanied by a medical examiner and Mrs. Wendell, were at the Ames County Cemetery, 3 miles from the county seat at Crescenta.
Box lid is almost clear, Jace.
All right, Steve, hold it. See if we can get the top off now. Want to flash that light down here, Doc?
Oh, yeah, sure, Jace.
Mrs. Wendell,
Yes?
maybe you better go wait in the car, ma'am.
No, I'm all right.
She'll have to identify the body anyhow, Jace.
I guess you're right. All right, Steve, let's get the cover off.
Right. Yeah, that's got it.
Just lift it up over the edge of the hole.
Yeah. Body's completely covered with a sheet.
Yeah. We'll lift it out to you.
I got this end.
All right, lift.
Yeah. I can get a hold now. Yeah, I'll help you. All right, that does it. Boost me, Jace, and I'll pull you up.
Right.
All right, now grab my wrist. Got it. Hey, we'll have to replace the cover and shovel the grave in again.
We can do that as soon as Mrs. Wendell identifies the body. I hate to ask you like this, ma'am.
It's all right. I know he's dead, so what can it matter?
Jace, you got a pocket knife. Have to slit this sheet.
Yeah, here, Doc.
Yeah. Well, Mrs. Wendell?
Yes.
Don't look anymore, ma'am. Better take her to the car, Steve. Come on, ma'am. There's nothing more you can do here. Just a sheet on him. Didn't even bury him with his clothes.
Yeah, it wasn't even embalmed. There's something strange here, Jace. Here, have me roll the body over. Pull that sheet down further.
Sure.
No marks on the head and the chest. Here. Here's what we're looking for.
Yeah. This man was shot, all right. Shot in the back. The medical examiner took the body into the funeral parlor, and Steve Clark took Mrs. Wendell home. It was after 2 a.m., but what I had to do couldn't wait. I located the home of the county attorney, Lou Morrison, a ranch about 10 miles out of Crescenta. I got him out of bed.
Oh, what's on your mind this time of night, Ranger?
Official business.
Seems to me you could have waited and come to the courthouse in town in the morning.
A few men I'm after might be disappearing from town by morning. I had to wake you up. I need some warrants.
Warrants? Somebody in Crescenta?
Yeah. The first one for a man named Ray Thorpe.
On what charge?
The murder of Ed Wendell.
Thorpe killed Wendell in self-defense. He's already been exonerated by the grand jury.
Look, Mr. Morrison, I've just come from the cemetery. We exhumed Wendell's body.
A body can't be exhumed without an order?
We had an order from a magistrate at the other end of the county. And Wendell's body proves Thorpe couldn't have killed him in self-defense because Wendell was shot in the back.
That's impossible.
Did you see the body before he was buried?
Well, no, I didn't. But there were witnesses.
The witnesses lied. Mr. Morrison, I want a murder warrant for Ray Thorpe.
All right, Ranger. You seem to have some evidence. I can go into my office and write them up. We can get Judge Paget to sign them.
Thanks.
I'll have to dress. You, said that you wanted several warrants.
That's right. 3 more beside Thorpe's.
For who?
For the witnesses who claimed that Thorpe shot in self-defense.
On what charge?
That's a funny question from a county attorney. A charge of perjury before the grand jury. I got the warrants, but Morrison's attitude told me they weren't going to be easy to serve. I'd arranged to meet Steve Clark at an all-night cafe in Crescenta. He was waiting there.
Get the warrants?
Yeah.
Jace, there's something funny about this town. It smells to high heaven.
And say that again. There's more to this than just a murder. The county attorney didn't want to cooperate. And one of Thorpe's witnesses is a deputy sheriff.
Yeah, it looks like the law is trying to cover Wendell's death. And I think I found out why.
Yeah?
Mrs. Wendell spilled it when I was taking her home. Said that her husband was planning on having some kind of a meeting at his house on the night of the day that he was killed.
She say what kind of a meeting?
Yeah, it's about the county elections coming up next month.
What about them?
Sheriff Porch and County Attorney Morrison are both running for re-election, but nobody's running against them.
Both unopposed candidates?
Yeah, that's why Wendell called a meeting. He didn't like it. He was fixing to stir the town up for a write-in vote.
How come Mrs. Wendell didn't mention that before?
I guess it didn't seem to have any connection with her husband getting killed by Thorpe.
You finished with your coffee?
Yeah.
Let's get those warrants served. This town's going to get awful hot. Thorpe works on a ranch out beyond the oil fields. I'll go out there and pick him up while you...
Hit the ground, Steve. Where'd it come from?
Caught a flash from the corner across the street.
There's something moving in the shadows there.
Let him have it.
He's mounted, Jace.
He cut through the alley. The field's behind town.
Can't get a shot at him now.
Come on, let's get our horses out of the trailer.
Right.
Keep back, everybody. Keep back. Come on, Sharky. Come on.
Come on, Longhorn. Come on. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Ah. There he is, Jace, topping the rise.
He's not going to go far. His horse is breaking stride. Looks like he's gone lame.
Yeah, must have picked up a stone.
You'll have to leave him soon. He's out of sight now. Be careful after we cross the rim. He may run on foot and keep going, or he may drop into cover and try and pick us off.
Any way he wants to play is all right with me. Here's the top of the rise.
Hunch low in your saddle.
There's his horse, Jace, no rider.
Yeah, he's dismounted. Pull up fast and drop. Whoa, whoa, Charlie.
Whoa, Longhorn. He's in that clump of mesquite.
Yeah, I know it. Keep flat. The moon touches the top of that brush beside you. Reach over and nudge it. Draw fire.
Right. You get him?
I don't know. The skeet seems bent over like there's some weight on part of it. Crawl toward it. Keep your gun ready.
Better stay a few feet apart.
Yeah.
No sign of movement.
We'll know in a minute.
I can see a boot sticking out of the mesquite. Must be laying out flat.
He's hit all right. We can get up.
No more trouble with him, Jason. Right between the eyes. Some shot for hitting a man you couldn't see.
I knew he was firing a rifle. He had to be drawing a sight, so I just fired a little above and to the right of the flash.
Wonder who he is.
We'll find that out later. Better get his horse. We'll have to lead him back.
Yeah. Easy, boy. Easy now. Come on, we'll fix where it hurts.
Turn him a little, Steve. Let the moon hit this side of his saddle.
Yeah, around, boy. What do you see?
A couple of letters burned into the leather.
Yeah, look like initials. Hey, R.T.
Yeah, R.T. I guess we can tear up that warrant for Ray Thorpe.
You are listening to Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrea as Ranger Jace Pearson. We continue now with tonight's case, Conspiracy, an authentic story from the files of the Texas Rangers.
It was sunup when we got back to the main street of Crescenta. The town was waking up for the day, and shopkeepers and morning crews headed for work in the oil fields followed us to the funeral home. I was unstrapping Thorpe's body from my saddle when Sheriff Porch came through the crowd.
Let me through here, let me through. Well, howdy, Rangers.
Howdy.
Oh, Sheriff.
See, you got Thorpe, all right.
About time somebody got him.
Yeah, I know. County attorney told me what you found out. Could have knocked me over with a feather.
I'll bet. All right, Steve, grab his feet and let's carry him in.
Right.
I'll get the door for you.
put him down there.
All right. Sure is heavy. You tried to find it out, huh?
Tried to ambush us, you mean? And somebody better explain how he knew we were after him.
Reckon you can blame me for that, Ranger.
What do you mean by that?
County attorney called me right after Judge Paget signed your warrants for you. I knew where Thorpe was hanging out, one of the hot spots outside the town. Thought I'd go out and pick him up for you. When I told him you was after him, he sort of caught me off balance and bolted.
Kind of convenient, Sheriff. Especially since you let him out once before. After he'd shot a man in the back.
I didn't know that. I never looked at Wendell's body. I was home sick. My deputy handled the case.
Same deputy that said Thorpe shot in self-defense?
Yeah, same one, Joe Slade.
I got a warrant for him, too.
I know. That's why I got him locked up in a jail right now.
You're getting mighty cooperative, Sheriff.
Well, Slade was right with me when I heard you wanted him. I know my job. I'm trying to help you.
How about the other two witnesses Thorpe had? Rollo Kane and Arthur Sampson. I still got warrants for them.
You'll find them out in the oil field, I reckon. They got 2 operating wells, and they're drilling a 3rd. Just past the old stockade north of town. You'll need horses. The road's too muddy for a car. I'll ride out with you.
Thanks, but we can handle it. You need a rest. You've been working too hard.
They're not drilling, Jace. They're just pulling the drill stem out of the hole.
Yeah, probably jumped a pin on the bit.
Funny thing, Kane and Sampson being mixed up in this Wendell killing. You think a couple of oil men with producing wells would be on the side of the law?
Something behind this we haven't hit yet, Steve. Man by the tool shed's watching us.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't seem to be doing much work. Maybe he's one of our boys.
Won't take long to find out. Be able to ask him in a second.
Yeah.
Oh,
boy.
Howdy, Rangers.
Howdy.
Hello. Like to talk to you for a minute. Mind telling your crew to knock off?
Sure thing. Hold it, boys. Cut fire. What's on your mind?
What's your name?
Kane. Rollo Kane. Arthur Sampson around? That's him. Up on top of the derrick, greasing the crown shift.
What's the matter down there, Rollo?
Tell him to come on down.
All right. Rangers want you to come down.
Send a hookup for me.
Just a second. Look, what's this all about?
I got warrants for you and your partner.
Oh? What for?
Perjury before the county grand jury.
You must have the wrong names, Ranger. I never testified for a grand jury. Who are you trying to kid, mister?
Records will show whether you did or not, so if you didn't, you got nothing to worry about. Now get your partner down here.
All right, boys, send a hookup. Look, you mind if I get my coat? It's right there in the tool shed.
Go ahead. I can watch you.
All right, thanks.
Look out, Jake! Cut that power!
Hey, drive clamps fell from the top of the derrick.
Yeah, hit right where we were standing. Thanks for the push.
Yeah. Hey, you heard, Rangers? That come close to being a nasty accident.
It came close to being nasty, but I don't think it was close to being an accident.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean, Kane. Pretty convenient time for you to step into that tool shed.
Well, I'm just lucky, Ranger.
Starting right now, your luck's running out. All right, Sampson. You can climb down.
Sorry that happened, Ranger. I just knocked it off reaching for that hook.
If anything else falls from that derrick, you're going to come with it.
Oh, come on now, climb down.
All right, climb down.
No, man can't be too careful if he wants to live, Ranger. These oil fields can be dangerous.
There's something else can be dangerous, too, Kane. Something you're going to find out about.
Yeah? What's that?
Breaking the law in the state of Texas. We herded Kane and Sampson back to Crescenta and marched them into the jail.
All right, boys, step in.
Go ahead now. I'll see you right to the cell.
You know the law, Ranger. Got to check your guns here in the office if you come inside the cell block gate. Unbuckle them and hang them in the cabinet.
All right. I want to talk to your deputy, Joe Slade, anyhow. Steve, you better take care of the horses.
Right, well, I'll meet you.
Well, we can eat at the cafe in about an hour.
Okay, Jace, I'll see you later.
All right, Sheriff. Go on, Kane, move. You too, Sampson.
All right, we'll move. You know you're not going to keep us here long, Ranger.
We'll see.
Your charge won't stand up.
Into the tank with Slade.
Was wondering when I was going to get company, Sheriff. I knew you wouldn't let your star deputy die lonesome.
Shut up, Joe.
Get out of the gateway and let these men in, Slade.
Sure, Ranger, sure. Come in, fella.
I want to talk to you, Slade.
Why, sure. You're Jace Pearson, ain't you? You got a reputation for being pretty good with the gun.
I'm still alive. Why did you lie to the grand jury?
Me? Well, you got the wrong boy, Ranger.
Oh, it's my office phone.
You going to give me the same story I got from your two pals?
That's right, Ranger. Same stuff.
Sure. Slade never appeared before the grand jury either. It's all your imagination, Ranger.
If the three of you have one brain to go around, you'll tell the truth. You're not in here without evidence. The grand jury records are being subpoenaed.
Listen to the man, fellas. He knows all about the law. You're in for a few surprises, Ranger. A few big surprises.
Seeing the three of you sent to Huntsville isn't going to be a surprise to me.
Ranger.
Yes, Sheriff. What? I see you got a gun, Sheriff. You're not supposed to bring a gun past the cell block gate either.
It won't do no harm. You don't make me use it.
You see, Ranger? Surprises, like I said.
Back away from that cell gate, Ranger. All right. Now you get in there with him.
What's the idea?
You're under arrest, by order of the county attorney.
For what?
For the murder of Ray Thorpe.
The sheriff was showing his colors openly now. He was part and parcel of all that was crooked in Ames County. I was dumped into a cell with three men who would gladly kill me if I gave them the chance.
Don't stay off in the corner by yourself, Ranger.
That's far enough, Slade. I'm keeping this side of the cell for myself. Don't come past the middle, any of you.
Who's going to stop us? Sheriff is gone for the day.
Yeah, since I'm in here, thanks to you, there ain't nobody on guard.
I didn't come to this town alone, you know.
If you're counting on help from that other ranger, don't get too happy about it. Probably somebody breathing down his neck right now, just like we're breathing down yours. Be too bad if you got to brooding about the way you killed Thorpe. Sheriff forgot to take your belt away, you might hang yourself. You got real broken up.
Sure. I might even stab myself with this.
He's got a knife.
Lousy pocket knife. You think you're going to scare three of us with that?
No, not three of you. But I'm figuring it's good enough to scare one of you. The one who comes at me first. You better get together and figure out which one of you it's going to be. Because he's the one who's going to get killed before I do. I didn't dare sleep. I had to watch every move they made. There was no sign of Steve Clark. In the morning, the sheriff came in. He took Kane, Sampson, and Slade out for the arraignment before the judge. When he came back, he didn't bring them back with him.
Here's some food for you.
Stop playing, Sheriff. You know I'm not going to eat anything you give me.
Suit yourself. You may be here a long time.
Longer than most of your prisoners stay. What happened to him?
If it's any of your business, Judge Paget released him. No evidence.
You call grand jury records no evidence?
Seems like the grand jury records have been misplaced.
I suppose the county attorney took care of that. This town's going to come down around your ears, Sheriff. You can't...
What's that?
Maybe what I've been expecting. What happened to Steve Clark?
Well, how should I know?
You mean you don't know whether your men got him or not?
Well, you couldn't have gotten away.
What's your hurry, Sheriff?
All right, now keep your hands away from that gun cabinet, Sheriff.
Captain Stinson.
Jace!
I'm all right, Steve.
Have you out in a minute, Jace. Take the keys, Steve.
You can't let him out. He's my prisoner.
We've got a writ for him, and to keep the record straight, Sheriff, you're mine.
Howdy, boy.
Glad to see you, Steve. I was afraid you caught one in the back.
No, not quite. They tried to take me after I left here, but I got away on Longhorn and outrun them. Had to ride cross country most of the night to get to a phone.
Let's go. We got a lot to clean up.
Yeah. Captain's got a lot of information on what there is to clean up.
Yeah, I sure have. Things that Porch could have told you, Jace. Porch is a rich man, aren't you, Porch?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about bank accounts all over the state. Big, fat accounts belonging to you and to County Attorney Morrison and Judge Paget. I've been checking on you for 2 days.
You can't prove nothing wrong about that.
Yes, we can, Sheriff. We've just come from the courthouse. Your friends didn't have time to burn all the records.
You're getting a little pale, Sheriff.
It was just business, that's all.
Nice business. You and others like you forming a combine to rob the people of this county. We can convict you on 50 conspiracy counts, along with complicity in Wendell's murder.
But killing Wendell wasn't my idea. Morrison ordered it when Wendell started to raise a fuss about the administration.
That's all I wanted to hear. Jace, you and Steve go after Morrison. He's not in town. Must be at his ranch.
What about the others? We had a shooting match with Sampson and Kane as we left the courthouse. They were making a run in the car. Some of our boys took them to the hospital for patching up.
How about Joe Slade?
No trace of him, but I got a hunch we'll find him with Morrison. Morrison's accounts show Slade's on his payroll. Probably burning more papers out at the ranch.
Let's go. On the ride to County Attorney Morrison's ranch, Steve Clark gave me the insight on the gigantic racket that had been working in Ames County.
Yeah, Jace Catton dug it all up. When the oil strike came, Morrison's crowd bought up county land at auction, but no auctions were actually held. Of course, Morrison and his pals didn't take the land in their own names. They turned it over to men like Kane and Sampson. Strong-arm boys who'd give them a kickback.
But there must have been some of the townsmen known what was going on.
Sure they did, but they were scared stiff. Didn't always take force to do it either. How can you fight a crook when he's in control of the law you had to fight him with? A couple of men who wanted to run for office were beaten out of the idea. That's why Morrison and Forge had no opposition.
There's Morrison's ranch up ahead.
Yeah, I see it. Hey, Jace, look, there's a car coming down the ranch road.
Really raising dust, too.
Step on it. Block them off at the intersection before they get on this highway.
We'll beat them to it, all right.
Hey, they spotted us. Car's turning.
And we're almost the ranch road.
Keep low. You get cut, Jace?
No, get their tires when I turn in after them.
Yeah.
Good shot.
Hey, they turned turtle.
Come on. Out. Look out, Steve. That's Slade breaking for the trees. I'll get him. You dig Morrison out of the wreck.
Right.
You miss, Slade.
I won't miss again.
You're going to have to step out and take better aim than that.
I got Morrison, Jace.
You're up, Slade. We'll lick.
You better listen to him, Slade.
All right, Ranger. Guess it'd be crazy to shoot it out. I'm coming. I'm dropping my gun.
Both hands up. Get that arm from behind your back.
I can. I hurt my arm and my back when the car turned.
Watch him, Jace! Oh! Come on, Morrison. Still had one rattlesnake trick left, didn't he?
Yeah. His last one. We'll send somebody out for his body. All right, Morrison, let's get back to town. My company should have all your friends rounded up by now, including that phony grand jury you stacked.
You won't keep us long.
I wouldn't bet on that, Morrison. You won't be handling the prosecution this time, and the judge won't be one of your partners. Get moving, mister. You got a long way to go.
The Ames County conspiracy was smashed, and 12 key men were convicted and sentenced to jail terms ranging from 10 to 50 years. Since then, Ames County has become a model American community.
And now, here again is the star of our show, Joel McRae.
Texans are mighty proud of their state, and the story that best illustrates that pride has made the rounds for many years. It was started by an old Texas Ranger whose son was going off to war. In parting, the Ranger gave him this advice. Son, you're going to be with fellas from all over the world. There's one thing you must never do. Never ask a man where he's from. If he's from Texas, he'll tell you. And if he isn't, don't embarrass him by asking. Good night, folks. See you next week.
Next week, Joel McRae in another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Joel McRae is currently seen starring in the Universal International Technicolor production Frenchie. Tonight's cast included Tony Barrett, Lillian Vyeth, Herb Ellis, Ken Christie, Byron Kane, Tom McKee, Lamont Johnson, and Herb Vigran. This story was transcribed and adapted by Joel Murcott, and the program was produced and directed by Stacy Keach. Hal Gibney speaking.
3 chimes mean good times on NBC. Tomorrow evening, Gordon MacRae sings for you as the Railroad Hour presents a melodic adaptation of One Touch of Venus, Gordon's guest for tomorrow's Railroad Hour production is Ginny Sims. The telephone hour tomorrow brings you celebrated contralto Marian Anderson as featured artist. Miss Anderson will offer a group of spirituals and operatic selections accompanied by Donald Voorhees and the orchestra. Phil Baker asks the $64 question next on NBC.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Joel McCrea in Tales of the Texas Rangers. Tonight, transcribed from Hollywood, another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrea as Ranger Jace Pearson. Texas, more than 260,000 square miles, and 50 men who make up the most famous and oldest law enforcement body in North America. Now, from the files of the Texas Rangers come these stories based on fact. Only names, dates, and places are fictitious for obvious reasons. The events themselves are a matter of record.
Case for tonight, Can Death.
It is 1:15 a.m., January 26, 1940. Bob Farragut, a rancher, comes awake slowly. As his eyes open, a wave of nausea sweeps over him, and he breaks into a cold sweat. He throws back the covers, staggers to his feet, noticing that his wife has left her place beside him.
May? May? Where are you? May? What's the matter? Why are you out of bed?
Oh, Bob, I feel so sick.
Yeah, I feel kind of funny myself.
I was just putting some water on my face. What's the matter with me?
You're as white as a sheet. You better get back and lie down. Funny, I can hardly stay on my feet without holding on to something.
You're all perspired. Oh, Bob, what can it be?
I don't know. Unless we're all coming down with the flu or something. Kids acted kind of funny before they went to bed.
I was up with them about 11 o'clock. They were complaining about stomach aches.
Wait, we better go have a look at them. If they feel like we do, I'm going to call the doc. They seem to be all right now. Both sleeping.
Better close the window by Petey's bed. Janet's got covers kicked off. I'll put a quilt over it.
We better get back to bed ourselves. Have Doc out in the morning.
Oh, I never felt so sick. Bob!
What is it? What's the matter?
Look at Janet's face. It feels so funny. Bob, she isn't breathing. She feels so cold.
Now, don't go getting yourself excited. I'll wake her up. Janet? Janet? Wake up, baby. Janet!
Wake up, baby! Wake up!
Petey! Wake up, Petey! Petey!
Oh, what's the matter with him?
Doc. Gotta call the doc. Right away.
Bob! Don't leave me!
May! 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 Gotta get help. Get somebody to help. Gotta get downstairs to the phone.
Bodies were discovered 2 days later when a neighbor noticed Farragut's milk cows wandering in pain as the result of not being milked. The sheriff was summoned, along with a medical examiner who made a preliminary diagnosis of poisoning. The bodies were moved into town for autopsy, and the sheriff called for the aid of a Texas Ranger. Ranger Jace Pearson was assigned.
Everything in this medicine cabinet seems to be innocent enough, Jace.
Your deputy checked the garbage cans and refuse bins?
Yeah, no empty bottle of any kind, just a few cans, vegetable peel, and stuff like that.
I'll need some wrapping to pack these bottles in so they can be flown to the lab for examination.
Probably find what you need downstairs. Jace, I've been in office 9 years, and this is the dirtiest killing I've ever had.
You seem pretty sure this wasn't an accident.
Not with kids being affected. Farragut's were mighty careful people.
Car pulling up outside.
Yeah, it must be the doc with the autopsy report. No, Sid Mack. Farragut's partner in this range.
Who did it, Sheriff?
Sid, if I knew that, I wouldn't be standing here.
You gotta do something about this. I don't want anybody getting away with it. You can post a $5,000 reward for the killer in my name. Make it 10. Make it anything I got.
Take it easy, Sid. I know how you feel.
Sheriff tells me you own half this place.
That's right, Ranger.
How come you haven't been out here in a couple of days?
Well, I don't live on the place. It's just an investment to me. I got a hardware store in town. Live in there.
I see. You know anybody who was packing a grudge against the Farraguts?
Against Bob and May and those kids? It'd take a madman to want to hurt them.
Oh, Jace, that's Doc's car coming now.
Good.
Oh, why does everything take so long? Everybody's standing around waiting instead of doing something.
There's no point in doing anything until you know what you're doing. When Doc tells us what killed the Farraguts, we'll have something to trace.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ranger.
It's all right, Mr. Mack.
Howdy. Howdy, Doc. You know Sid. This is Ranger Pearson.
Hello, Sid.
Hello.
Hey, Ranger. Yeah, the results of the autopsies are kind of surprising, Sheriff. Death in all 4 cases is accidental.
Accidental?
No doubt about it. Deaths were caused by botulism.
What's that?
It's the result of improper home canning. Stomach contents showed the Farraguts had made their last meal on green beans, potatoes, and canned sausage meat.
There's nothing in that to kill him.
Yes, there is, Mr. Mack. The doc's right.
Canning meat at home is tricky business, Sid. Should be done under steam pressure at high temperature. If it isn't, bacteria forms, and it's plenty deadly.
You sure that's what killed him, Doc?
Bacteria was unmistakable, Sheriff. It was the sausage meat. Nothing else. Guess we should be thankful in a way. It's nice to know it wasn't murder.
Dead. Just from sitting down to a meal. And they're all dead.
Well, Jace, looks like I brought you down here for nothing.
I don't know, Sheriff. Looks like we've got a real job on our hands anyhow.
What do you mean, Ranger?
The sheriff and I have fine-combed the house. There's nothing in there that's home canned and no equipment for home canning.
Hey, that's right. All we did find was 1 canning jar on the kitchen drain board. Must have been washed out along with the dishes from the last meal aid.
Are you sure of that?
Wasn't even a steam boiler big enough for home canning. And a woman doesn't just put up 1 jar. She cans in batches, and the whole batch might be contaminated.
Women do pass out samples of their home canning to neighbors and friends. That jar must have been a gift.
Quite a gift. Like a stick of dynamite with a lighted fuse. Somebody around here must have a pantry full of poison, and they don't know it.
You mean what happened to the Farraguts could happen to somebody else?
It will happen to somebody else if we don't find out where that sausage meat came from, and fast. Sheriff, you better get all your deputies and a bunch of volunteers out here right away. We'll need them to make direct contact with anybody in the area who can't be reached by phone. We've got to warn anybody that may have given the Farraguts that sausage meat.
I'll call them right away.
Ask the phone company to put on a staff and make calls to every listing.
Right, Jace.
Is there anything I can do, Ranger?
You got your car. You can take an area when the sheriff and I map it out.
I can help you there.
I'd rather use you in another way if you don't mind, Doc. Drive into town, go to the newspaper and the local radio station, ask them to get out a warning.
Right. You want me to come back then?
No, you better stand by in town and pray that we don't bring in another case for the hospital or the morgue. For 5 days and nights, we covered the territory, the shacks and farms and ranch houses without phones, and then doubled back on the phone listings that hadn't answered, running down the whereabouts of people away on business trips or vacations, but we couldn't locate the source of the contaminated meat.
If only somebody'd come forward and admit that they canned the stuff the Farraguts ate, we'd know we were safe.
They may be afraid of being held responsible for the deaths. It is something to wonder about.
Yeah, we're almost back to my office. Maybe one of the other men has left a report. What time is it?
Almost midnight. Yeah, here we are.
Oh, howdy.
Howdy. You Sheriff Kingman?
That's right. This is Ranger Pearson.
Hello.
What can I do for you?
My name's Burton. I just came down from Dallas. I'm an investigator for the Midland and Frontier Insurance Company. We understand that you're still investigating the death of the Farragut family.
Well, we're trying to find the source of the stuff that killed him, if that's what you mean.
Then this isn't a criminal investigation?
No. Deaths were accidental.
What's your interest, Mr. Burton?
Well, Ranger, it is unusual for an entire family to be killed, except for a highway accident or a fire, some natural calamity. And the Farraguts were all heavily insured by my company. I'm just making a routine checkup before we pay the beneficiary's claim of $30,000.
$30,000?
You say your company insured all the Farraguts?
That's right. $10,000 each on Farragut and his wife, $5,000 each on the children.
All the Farraguts are dead, though. Who is the beneficiary?
Mr. Farragut's partner, Sid Mack.
Sid Mack?
How long ago were those policies written, Mr. Burton?
A little over a year ago, when the partnership was formed. That's the main reason my company wanted to make certain about your investigation. It's a matter of routine for partners to insure each other, but...
But this involved Farragut's whole family.
Yes. However, since there's no criminal investigation, we'll have to honor Mr. Mack's claim. Thanks for your time, Sheriff.
Just a second, Mr. Burton.
Yes?
If I were you, I wouldn't recommend payment of that claim just yet.
But the sheriff just said that there's no criminal investigation.
There wasn't a minute ago, but there is now.
You are listening to Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McCrea as Ranger Jace Pearson. We continue now with tonight's case, Canned Death, an authentic story from the files of the Texas Rangers.
In the morning, Sheriff Kingman got a search warrant for Sid Mack's house. Mack had already left for the hardware store, but we were admitted by his hired girl. She was young and frightened. She watched us in silence as we started our search and then disappeared.
Nothing in here, Jace.
Nothing in the pantry either. Let's try the attic.
That girl scooted mighty quick, didn't she?
She probably told Mack what we're doing by now.
Should have kept her here until we were through.
Doesn't make any difference. He'd know sooner or later. And if anything's here, he won't be able to stop us from finding it. This door here.
They're not going to find anything, Jace. If there was more of that contaminated food, he'd be stupid to have it around. And if he did kill the Farraguts, he's not stupid. Oh, this whole job is too clever.
No job is perfect. There's always a slip someplace. Let's move those crates.
Okay. Nothing in these things, Jace. Better look in those barrels, too.
Yeah. Hey, hold it. Somebody's coming upstairs.
Mac, I reckon.
You're the ranger up there, Sheriff?
That's right, Mac.
What's the idea?
Just having a look around, Mac. We've got a search warrant.
Maybe you're going to need more than a search warrant. I had a call from an insurance man named Burton this morning.
Yeah, we had a call from him last night. That's why we're here.
I've got a legitimate insurance claim, but you've stopped it from being paid.
It'll be paid in due time, if it should be paid.
Is that so, Ranger? Well, let me tell you something. I think the way you stopped that claim constitutes slander. You think of any reason why I shouldn't slap a lawsuit on the two of you?
No, Mac. Not anymore, and I can think of a reason why you insured Farragut's wife and 2 kids.
Then maybe I'll give you the reason, Sheriff. Farragut knew I had them all insured. You can't insure somebody without them knowing it. The company will tell you that. Farragut was my friend. You understand that? My friend. Sure, I insured his wife. If he'd lost her and been left with the 2 kids, he'd need somebody to take care of them, and that cost money.
Farragut could have insured her himself?
So I did it for him. And I loved his kids. I don't have any, and they were like my own. The policies I had on them weren't just life insurance policies. They were endowment policies, too, to pay for the education. Now, what's wrong about that, Sheriff?
Nothing wrong, man. If what you're saying's true.
Ask the insurance man. Ask him. Out at the ranch, before we found out what killed the Farraguts, when we thought they'd been murdered, I offered to put up everything I have as a reward, didn't I? Well, didn't I?
Yes, Mac, you did.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Mac, because it brought something to my mind. Something that's been trying to register, and you just brought it out.
What do you mean?
How long you been in the hardware business?
11 years. Why?
Because when Doc told us the Farraguts died from food poisoning, from food that wasn't canned properly, he had to draw you a blueprint. You didn't seem to know anything about it.
I don't know anything about it.
No? Don't you sell canning equipment at the hardware store?
Well,
we can go over to the store and have a look, Mac.
All right, so I sell canning equipment. Any hardware store does. What does that prove?
Companies that make canning equipment usually put out instruction booklets, too, telling how the equipment should be used. And those booklets contain a warning about the possibility of food poisoning.
Maybe they do. I never read one of them.
Don't kid me, Mac. Man who's been handling a line for 11 years has to know the answers when customers ask about the stuff he's selling. If he doesn't last 11 years in the business.
You're covering up, Mac. That doesn't look good.
So, it doesn't look good. All right, Sheriff. What are you going to do about it? Arrest me for telling a lie?
Don't be smart, Mac.
I don't even know why I'm bothering to talk to you. You got your warrant. Go ahead and search. But you're not going to find anything here. No canning equipment and no canned sausage meat. So go ahead. Search your heart out.
Mac wasn't hedging anymore. But having him out in the open made me feel uncomfortable. He was too defiant, too sure of himself. We finished our search, but we found nothing. Started back for the sheriff's office.
He knows something about those desks, Jace. Practically told us so, right to our faces.
I know. We can't prove anything.
Yeah, he could have brought canning equipment home from the store, could have taken it any place, then ditched it when he was finished.
He'd need more than just the equipment, Sheriff.
What?
Hog meat?
Might have bought a hog or had one butchered at some farm around here. But which one?
We checked every house in the territory once, warning them about the meat. I reckon we'll have to check them again from a different angle.
Be a job. Some folks off in the backwoods keep a hog or two.
We'll check them all. I'm towing a double horse trailer. We can load your mount in with charcoal in case we need him for the woods or hill country. Matter of fact, places off the beaten trail might be our best bet.
I know it's got to be done, Jace, but even if we find a place, can't jail him for buying hog meat.
Just the same, it's our next step. And it might be the step that starts Mac on his way to a cell. It was work. Grim, routine, discouraging work. The game of questions and answers without ever getting the right answer. In 3 days, we checked all the spots that could be reached by car. And then we switched to the horses and rode into the backwoods.
These backwoods people are kind of tight-mouthed, James.
Yeah, so I've noticed.
I guess they figure the world doesn't want to share the trouble, so they hold up back here. You see what I mean, next place we come to? Crazy Annie.
Crazy Annie?
That's what they call her. She isn't really crazy, just kind of strange. Has a son, feeble-minded. They had him at the state asylum for a while, but he was harmless, so they let him go. Old lady came into the woods with him, and, well, they've been here ever since.
They got hogs?
Yeah, hogs, a couple of chickens. That's about all they have got. Oh, yeah, they got one other thing. The meanest dog in the state of Texas. Keep your eye open for him when we ride up.
Don't they keep him tied?
Yeah, but he chews loose. Hates everybody but the old lady and her son. Place is just through this clump of trees.
Hey, hold it, Sheriff. Ooh, Charlie.
Hold it.
Yeah, look at that. Mound of earth covered with rocks and a cross sticking up at the head. Looks like a grave.
Reckon Luke did that, old Annie's son. Always burying dead birds and things. Gives them all first-class funerals.
Oh. Now get up, Charlie.
Oh, come on, boy. There's Luke now. Luke!
Yeah. You scared him. He took off for the woods like a jackrabbit.
Yeah, never know how he's gonna act.
I don't see any dog anyplace.
No. First time I come here that he hasn't tried to sample my pants. Oh, there's the old lady coming out of the shack now.
Yeah, I see her.
Oh,
Sharky.
Howdy, Annie.
You frightened my Luke. Why do you come to frighten him?
We don't mean him any harm, ma'am. We just came to see you.
Where's your dog, Annie? I don't want him sneaking up on me.
The devil came for him. He's dead. And Luke cries for him. He's afraid in the night without the dog.
Maybe you're just as well off, Annie. That hound might have turned on you sometime. How are the hogs coming? See, the sow has a new litter.
Yeah, those sucklings ought to make good canning. Maybe you got some canned meat that I could buy.
I ain't got nothing canned. Not until we butcher.
That's true, Jace. Ford checked her shelves when we were warning everybody.
I see. You ever give any canned sausage meat to the Farragut's?
I never give them nothing. Why are people always asking me that?
You know the Farragut's are dead, don't you, Annie?
Yeah.
If you never gave anything to the Farragut's, did you ever give or sell any canned sausage to Sid Mack? Or any hog meat, or even a live hog?
Well, did you, Annie? You got a right to sell what you own.
I don't know the man you talk about.
Now, don't lie to us, Annie. We're friends. You know that, don't you?
I never sold him nothing. I never did. He never come up here.
All right, Annie. Want to ride on, Jace? No sense trying to catch Luke. When he's scary like he is today, he can't even talk.
Yeah, let's go. Goodbye, ma'am.
Goodbye, Ann. Up, Chart. Up, boy. Of course, it's hard to tell with anybody like that, Jace, but she seemed to tighten up when you mentioned Sid Mack.
She did. Her hands started to work nerves.
And the boy Luke ran when he saw me. Of course, he's done that before.
If they can give us any information, it isn't going to be easy to get. I got an idea. Maybe a wrong one, but it's worth a shot. Let's turn back for town. Come on, Sharky.
Come on, boy. Come on. You gonna tackle Mac again?
No. I want to see the doctor.
Well, there's a complete chapter on botulism in this book, Jace. Now, what was it you wanted to know?
This food poisoning from improper canning, Doc, does it always happen? I mean, if the batch wasn't cooked the proper length of time, or if it wasn't sealed under the proper steam pressure, would it necessarily be poisoned?
No, not necessarily. It could be all right.
I just wanted to make sure.
Well, what's your point, Jace?
If Mac put up that contaminated meat, he'd have no way of knowing it was bad without testing it.
So since he wouldn't test it on himself.
He didn't test it on anybody else either. There'd have been another death or somebody sick enough for Doc to know about. Mac wouldn't have gambled on the Farraguts just getting sick. He wouldn't have even gotten the food to them unless he was sure it was deadly.
Well, he could have tested it on an animal.
Would an animal eat that food, Doc?
Well, the meat'd seem all right by taste or smell. Yes, an animal would eat it.
That's all I wanted to know, Doc. Sheriff, we're going for another ride in the woods.
I think I know what for.
Shouldn't take two guesses. We're going to dig up Luke's dog and send it to the lab at Austin. I want to know what that dog died from. We took Deputy Ford with us to stay on guard and keep old Annie and Luke from leaving their shack. We dug up the dog and sent it to Austin. The answer fit. Death by food poisoning. Sheriff and I rode back to the shack in the woods. Old Annie was white and shaking, and her son huddled in a corner. His eyes enormous and frightened, his lips numb.
Annie, believe me, nobody's going to hurt you or Luke. But you've got to help us.
You had no reason to harm the Farraguts, we know that. But we're after the man who did have a reason.
I don't know.
All you have to do is tell us. Was Mac here? Did you sell him anything? Or can anything under his direction? I guess it's no use, Jace.
Yeah, we can try again when we get to town.
Annie, you and Luke will have to come with us. We're taking you in.
I don't want to go back there.
Luke, listen to me. We're only taking you into town. I wouldn't have to do that if you or your mother'd answer my questions.
They're lying, boss. They want to take me back there. Mr. Mack says they'd take me back.
Mack said?
Wait a minute, Sheriff. Where did Mr. Mack say they were going to take you, Luke?
You know where. The place where they took me before.
They ain't gonna take you, Luke. I won't let him.
Yes, I think he means the asylum.
That's what he does mean. That's the key to why he won't talk. Wait, I got a hunch. Luke, Mac isn't a good man. He killed your dog. Well, he did, didn't he?
No. He was always giving me stuff to feed him. My dog died. He died.
You're getting to him, Jace.
We don't want to send you away, Luke. Mac lied. He's the one. He wants to send you away.
No, he tried to help me. He told me who was trying to have me sent back there. It was Mr. Farragut, that's who.
Don't tell him, Luke. Don't say any more.
You better let him talk, Annie, because if Mac didn't kill the Farraguts, then Luke did.
He didn't. He didn't mean to. He didn't know what he was doing.
Mr. Mack said I should be nice to Mr. Farragut and his wife. Then they wouldn't send me away.
What do you mean by telling you to be nice?
He said I should go and bring him a present. He gave me the present to bring. Something nice for them to eat.
Something in a jar? Something canned?
Yeah. The same kind of stuff he always kept giving me to feed my dog. And my dog died, and Mr. Farragut and his lady and the little babies, they died too.
That's it, Jace. making him an accessory to the murder of 4 people.
I know. But with Luke's background and with a smart defense attorney in court scaring him and confusing him, Luke's story wouldn't hold up. Mac could get away with it.
But what else can we do?
Gotta find the rest of that food and prove it passed through Mac's hands. He had a batch of it, kept feeding the dog samples until he found a jar that was deadly. Annie, your boy's in trouble. You know that, don't you?
Leave him alone.
How much of that stuff did Mac bring up here?
A lot. He kept it hid someplace in the woods, except in what he fed the dog. He didn't tell us why.
And after the dog died, that's when he got the jar from his hiding place for Luke to take to the Farragut's, wasn't it?
Luke never knowed what killed the dog till after.
No. Mr. Farragut, he thanked me and he gave me $50. And the lady, she smiled at me pretty.
Luke, do you know where Mac hid that food? Did you see him digging any place? Did you follow him?
I never knew where he kept it. He always went over the hill, way over where it's all rock.
That rock formation across the gully, Jace, about a mile from here. Think he left the stuff there?
Yeah, it wouldn't be safe for him to cart around. He had to leave it someplace. Come on. We're going to need more men, Sheriff. We may have an all-night digging party.
Ford!
Yeah, Sheriff. Just watering the horses.
Well, hop on yours pronto and head for the nearest ranch. Get on the phone and call for deputies. Tell them to bring shovels and keep their mouths shut about where they're going. I want them up here right away.
We dug by flashlight and torchlight. Finally, we found it. A burlap sack loaded with jars of sausage meat. Canned death. We rushed back to town, and just after dawn, a fingerprint crew flew in from Austin. I held my breath. All we needed was a print. One fingerprint belonging to Sid Mack. We got it. More than one. There were sets on every jar. By that time, his store was open, and we went for him.
Well, Sheriff and the Ranger. What bright ideas have you got this time?
Got an idea? We're going to lock you up, Mac.
You can drop that smile, Mac. Luke was just as scared of us as he was of you. We know the whole story.
Well, guess fellas with your mentality might believe Luke, but a jury won't. You know what the law says about reasonable doubt?
We also found a few buried samples of your canning, Mac, with your fingerprints all over the jars. Just yours.
So? Like you once said, I sell canning equipment, and I handle the stuff I sell, so my prints were on the jars.
Smart, isn't he, Sheriff?
Regular genius.
Thanks. Sorry I can't return the compliment.
You're just like all the smart ones, Mac. You just made one mistake, and it was a real stupid one. About those prints. You had to put them on the jars after they were filled, when the canning was completed. Any prints that were on before would have been boiled off.
Don't go for that claw hammer, Mac. Don't make me put a bullet in you. Because heaven knows, Mac, I'm tempted.
Wait a minute, Sheriff. I'm not resisting. I'm not touching anything.
All right. Move. Better lock the door, Mac. You won't be coming back.
Sid Mack was brought to trial on August 3rd, 1940. He was convicted of premeditated murder, and on April 19th, 1941, he died in the electric chair.
Next week, Joel McRae in another authentic reenactment of a case from the files of the Texas Rangers. Joel McRae is currently seen starring in the Universal International Technicolor production Frenchie. Tonight's cast included Tony Barrett, Paul Frees, Virginia Gregg, Will Wright, Ken Christie, Joe Forte, Edmund McDonald, and Don Diamond. This story was transcribed and adapted by Joel Murcott, and the program was produced and directed by Stacy Keach. Hal Gibney speaking.
Three chimes mean good times on NBC. Gordon MacRae sings for you tomorrow evening as the Railroad Hour presents a melodic adaptation of the dramatic opera Madame Butterfly. Gordon's guest for this Railroad Hour presentation is lovely soprano Nadine Connor, And your Monday of Music tomorrow also includes a concert by the voice of Firestone with guest artist Eugene Conley. Phil Baker asks the $64 question next on NBC.